What is best in life? To crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and to hear the lamentation of their women.
Was she a great big fat person?
All right. What is it? Sunday night? It's Sunday night. That means it's the Sunday Night Radio Baloney Live. I'm your host, Richie Baloney. How's everybody doing? Good to see you guys. We've got Rosie, Turtles in the chat already, Spambot. How you guys doing? Good to see you. I hope you've been having a lovely, lovely weekend, an excellent weekend. And we haven't seen Turtles in here for a while. Good to see you, Turtles. All right. So Rosie asks, how are you feeling, Richie? Well, I'm feeling a lot better, actually. I've slept probably like 26 hours this weekend. So I think things are starting to look up. Lots and lots of, sometimes you just need to just sleep. Like just sleep as much. That seems to be like the best medicine for the body when you're feeling like crap, is just to sleep. And I've gotten lots and lots of that. I slept this afternoon. You know, I only gave myself, well, I really only had about an hour and a half to even prepare this stream. So, but it's still going to be good. Don't worry. I'm on top of it. Let's see. Who got the first like? Let's see. Who got the first like? I'm guessing it was probably Rosie, because Rosie is the first in the chat. So that's a double good karma for Rosie. Anybody who likes the stream, though, or who subscribes to the channel, also gets free good karma. It's just the first one gets double. And in these troubled times, can you afford to turn your back on that? I wouldn't do it. Absolutely not. Let's see. Streamer, how you doing, radio streamer? He says, hello, my fellow degenerate basket of deplorables, orange Hitler following, non-neon hair dye, Hitler driving to a defending Megan, countrymen, and women. All right. That's what they say. Those are the things they throw around. Try and shame everybody. Let's see. What else we got? Let's see. Happy Mother's Day. So happy Mother's Day to everyone out there. I've already said hello. Happy Mother's Day to my mother. I was supposed to go over today, but I didn't because I didn't want to make her sick. So tomorrow or maybe the next day, I'll take some flowers over. But happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. You're the reason why the human race exists, why there's people on the planet. Well, I guess also men too. Anyway, it's kind of a big deal. Let's see. Turtles listening and doing house chores. That's the best way to listen to Radio Baloney Live. All right. All right. What are we going to talk about? So we got cut off in that last stream on Friday because I couldn't talk anymore because my throat was too sore. So I've got a bunch of stuff from that, some stuff I've grabbed in the meantime as well, some extra stuff. But yeah, we're gonna, because we only did an hour and 45 minutes on Friday, so we'll finish off all the other stuff. There's a bunch of stuff that you guys sent me that we're gonna take a look at. But let's just do a quick run through the menu. We'll go back to the chat for a second, and then we'll get back into it in detail. So you never can have enough Yuri Bezmenov. He was warning us decades ago, but this relates to Canada. And yeah, so we'll just listen to his warning that has not been heeded, which is kind of depressing, but you know what? It's still worthwhile. Maybe we can wake a few people up. So there's so Parliament hasn't been in session. It's prorogued. They haven't sat since November. We're basically just an autocratic state right now. We basically just have a dictator at this point. We're not functioning politically anymore. So 33 billion without any parliamentary approval, no definition on what it's for. Well, actually, I did pull up. It's not specific. It shows you. It shows you just basically where the things are going. You don't know what is happening. These aren't like itemized as to what they're for. But at least you know what organizations or what parts of the government it's going to. I mean, it's also not great. We're going to go through it. But this is legal. This can be done. You do it through the Governor General. It's not how, the government isn't supposed to be run this way. That's the thing. You can do it. It's legal. It's not like stealing the money. It can be done. It's part of, the Canadian Constitution, but it's just, we haven't had a functioning government for months and months, and it's sad. And now we have a globalist hobgoblin running the country, and it's just not working out for Canada. It's just not working out. It's such a shame. What do we got here? So I want to show you something on the election. Because we can't have funny business just happening in the States. We'll take a look at this. Another seat flipped to the Liberals. They're at 170 now. There's still, I think, a few more seats they're under review. They're doing recounts. Maybe Mark Carney. It seems like everything's just falling in place the right way for Carney to get a majority government weeks after the election for some reason, because that's just how things always turn out. We're going to talk about the Trump tariffs. Trump is really just getting everything that he wanted. At the end of the day, at root, he's just getting everything that he wanted. He's signing deals with the UK. Now they're announcing a deal with China. So he's just getting what he wanted the whole time. Alberta independence, we're going to talk about that a little. We've talked about that on Friday quite a bit. We're not going to spend very long on it, but I want to show you one video, which I think Miles sent this one in, and it's worth taking a look at. Media bias. Mark Carney held Mark Carney held a masterclass on how to deal with Donald Trump. Really? Because it was 30 minutes, and Carney spoke for 3 minutes of it, and the rest of the time he was just basically ritually humiliated by Donald Trump. So I guess that's a masterclass. There's lots of cope. I'm noticing it in my comments, actually, especially in my What's Wrong with Canada video. A lot of cope from liberals who, well, I think they were expecting something more from Mark Carney, we'll say. Although they're happy to just change their minds immediately, as long as they're, staying within the bounds of their political fashion, but whatever. Black clouds on the economic horizon for Canada, not a surprise, considering that we're just going to be doing what Trudeau was doing. Don't forget, Mark Carney was Trudeau's economic advisor since at least 2020. We're doing what was being done. We're doing what was being done under Trudeau, only supercharged. It's just going to get worse and worse. Here we have a lovely Muslim scholar here, who, what does he want? Extremist sermon to children at the Muslim Youth of Victoria, praising kids who want to kill for Islam. Well, isn't that nice? That's diversity. That's diversity. If anybody asks you what diversity is, it's right here. Isn't that lovely? Teaching the children to be murderous. Here we go. We have other lands, faraway lands, ancient blood feuds. Some more in Canada. That's really nice. Uh, we've got some stuff on a detransitioner here. And it's just really sad, tragic. We won't talk about that too much, but we will get into that later. We've got some woke mind virus stuff. Apparently, they've expanded the LGBT. I don't. Why is it so like? Okay, what's the E for and what's the G? So there's two G's now. I don't know. We'll get into this. I have no idea what's going on there. It's all just gibberish. Memes. We've got some memes. That's always fun. And into the live stream, the final bookmark of the evening, and it's just a bunch of different stuff. Some of it's political, some of it's like these cleaning Terminators here. We'll get into that. Eventually that thing will murder you, of course. Will terminate. I think really the technical term is terminate. It will terminate you as soon as it's done with that toilet. There's animals. There's like a 90-year-old gymnast lady. That's just nice. It's a lot of like palate cleanser stuff. So you leave the stream at the end of the evening feeling better about things. We'll take a look at this. Apparently there's some hubbub about what are they doing at that table there. We'll take a look at that. This is funny. There's funny stuff and a bunch of crazy stuff. So that's how we will end it off. We always like to end it off with that. It's like a palate cleanser after all this terrible news. But let's get to the chat and then we'll start going in on things in detail. So what do we got? All right. Yes, I hope everybody's having a lovely Mother's Day. Rosie says, might be a fun thing to give yourself 33 billion. Wow. Well, okay, we'll get into that. Rosie says, masterclass must have a new definition. It's called cope, is what it's called. Turtle says, Sharia law is evil. Texas is getting their own Muslim city. How nice. How nice. I find it weird. I still find it surreal and insane. Like the first time you see like Queers for Palestine, you go, huh? That can't be real. That must be a joke. It's all very strange. Feminists. Where are the feminists? Let's see. I guess they're all getting fitted for burqas. Turtle says, China's robot with human brain is scary. I did see that actually. And that's something we're definitely going to have to get into. That's just totally dystopian nightmare fuel right there. Let's see. Yeah, they grew neurons. They grew human brain cells, and they've put it into these robots. How much they're actually real? How much? Maybe it's like a hoax. I don't know. But we'll have to take a look at that one. Maybe in the next stream. All right. So, what happened in Canada? Why did Cardi win? Well, I think Yuri Bezmenov has some answers for us. He pretty much explained everything that's happened to the West writ large over the last, 40 years. Canada is no exception. I think Canada fell for it worse than anybody for a number of reasons. Never bother with leftists. Government is corrupt. Forget these useful idiots. They've been programmed to think and react a certain way. You cannot change their mind, even if you shower them with undeniable facts. Yuri Bezmenov was right. Canada is filled with these useful idiots. So, what would cause people to vote for the same party that had been making their lives progressively worse for the better part of a decade? And all of the rhetoric from the new face of the party was the same. It's just a different face. In fact, it was the same, but promising more. So how does that happen? I mean, you'd think that people would not be stupid enough to just vote for more of the same policies that had been wrecking their lives. Well, I think it I think clearly it comes down to political fashion to a large extent. It just comes down to there's a word that people have been socially engineered to not like, to feel a distaste for. The word is conservative, and it doesn't really matter what's behind that word, what policies are behind it. It could be you could use that word to describe totally woke progressive policies, but if that word's in front of it, they won't like it. They'll think it's mean. Like what's behind what the word is describing doesn't even actually matter. It's just the word. And I think that's why so many Canadians were so ready to just jump back on the liberal bandwagon again the second they had a new face. Because they weren't going to vote conservative. All right, let's take a look at what Yuri has to say.
Ideological subversion is the process which is legitimate, overt, and open. You can see it with your own eyes. What it basically means is to change the perception of reality of every American to such an extent that despite of the abundance of information, no one is able to come to sensible conclusions in the interests of defending themselves, their families, their community, and their country.
And obviously the Soviet, he's talking about the Soviet active measures, right? It meant to undermine and demoralize the United States. Obviously that is spread from the United States. It's just it took over the academic institutions and then spread to the entire Western world, clearly, because leftist politicians in every single Western country all believe the exact same thing. They're totally interchangeable. But let's continue.
Country. It's a great brainwashing process which goes very slow, and it's divided in four basic stages. The first one being demoralization. It takes from 15 to 20 years to demoralize a nation. Why that many years?
Yeah, and with demoralization, it's not talking about like making them like depressed or apathetic. He's talking about actually removing their morals, the basic moral foundation of a society. And if you have any question whether or not like Canada has been demoralized, well, let's see. You've got the very, very liberal drug policies. So we have something called harm reduction in Canada now, which is literally the government giving free drugs, free meth to addicts. You have progressives that are very happy to step over the bodies on the way to get their chai latte at the Starbucks in the morning, right? Call it progressive and empathetic. The Canadian drug policies. You have a more than an order of magnitude increase in overdose deaths and all the attendant crime and just basic family tragedy that comes along with all of that, right? And there is no appetite, apparently, judging from the last election, to do anything about that other than just more of the same. And there's nothing more far left radical than sex changes for children, which in Canada, I mean, that's just the law of the land. A counselor, a doctor, psychiatrist, you can't even, if you've got a 12-year-old who comes into your office and says they're confused and they have gender dysphoria, it's actually illegal in Canada to suggest there may be a different reason for their discomfort. That's called conversion therapy in Canada. Okay? This is beyond moral confusion. Okay? I think you can call it demoralization, absolutely. Demonizing capitalism, essentially, with Mark Carney. Talking about he's going to make those polluters pay. He's talking about Canadian industry. He's going to make them pay. Of course, that's just par for the course with any leftist movement. Climate hysteria, radical climate hysteria. Mark Carney, of course, is going to be the most climate hysterical prime minister, even more so than Justin Trudeau, at the expense of Canada and everybody in it. Of course, we've seen the insane censorship bills during the Trudeau years. We've got Mark Carney promising more of that, talking about how social media is really the enemy, promising to resurrect Bill C-63, the insane dystopian censorship law with pre-crime, where you can be punished for things you haven't actually done, but some activist judge thinks you might. Life in prison for doing a hate online, as well as other even more or just as dystopian Orwellian lunacy. So free speech is no longer a value in Canada. So this is the demoralization. Like, we've just removed, like, our morals have been eroded to the point where there's a majority of Canadians that they don't even want their human rights anymore. Like, they don't even want free speech anymore. That's how bad it's become. But in any case, let's continue.
Because this is the minimum number of years which requires to educate one generation of students in the country of your enemy, exposed to the ideology of the enemy. In other words, Marxism-Leninism ideology is being pumped into the soft heads of at least 3 generations of American students without being challenged or counterbalanced by the basic values of Americanism, American patriotism.
This was in the 80s. That's why it's so bad now, because it's just marched on unopposed.
The result you can see. Most of the people who graduated in the 60s, dropouts or half-baked intellectuals, are now occupying the positions of power in the government, civil service, business, mass media, educational system. You are stuck with them. You cannot get rid of them. They are contaminated. They are programmed to think and react to certain stimuli in a certain pattern. You cannot change their mind, even if you expose them to authentic information, even if you prove that white is white and black is black, you still cannot change the basic perception and the logic of behavior.
Hey, is he talking about the CBC there? I think he is.
In other words, these people, the process of demoralization is complete and irreversible. To get rid society of these people, you need another 20 or 15 years to educate a new generation of patriotically minded and common sense people.
We do see with the occasional troll we get into the chat, we do see the total resistance to reality. Like, there's no going back for them. I see it in the comments section. There are people where and I've talked to them, and there's just no going back. They are totally resistant to reality at this point. They have been totally parasitized by an idea pathogen. And it is he's saying that you can't get rid of them, right? You can never change their minds. Well, we do have to go through a process of, the people that are totally resistant to basic freedom, and you can even say just basic liberalism or classical liberalism, right? We do have to go through a period of just transitioning that out. And how do you do that? I think that you just have to deny them money. So universities just should not be getting public funds if they are teaching totally insane, illiberal, far leftist gibberish that has no bearing on reality. If they're trying to teach an ideology that they don't seek to fit it into the world, they seek to fit the world into it, and they're happy to break the world in the process. Why should they be getting people's money? So, I think that's really the only way you can do it, is just through defunding these institutions, right? If only we could have defunded the CBC in Canada, that just would have made an immediate improvement. It really would have. But unfortunately, I think that the programming, the social programming in Canada is a little bit stronger than it is in the United States, unfortunately. So that's why we didn't see a similar move towards reason and away from, cultural masochism and economic ruin in Canada. And why we are now now we're on the same train. It's just that it's sped up. We're hurtling towards the cliff faster now. And all of the liberal voters are just muttering about PhD, PhD, PhD. You know what? It's interesting. They're so into credentialism. As long as they agree with the person with the credentials. I mean, there was a lot of PhDs that were persona non grata over the last 5 years, weren't there? You know, over the whole COOF thing. An awful lot of PhDs, a lot of very qualified people, a lot of people with amazing credentials that all of a sudden it turned out they were just crazy and their credentials meant nothing. So that's credentialism now, right? If some YouTube comment section intellectual doesn't like the ideas or the conclusions of the whatever particular PhD, it doesn't matter. However, if they do, then it's just the gold standard. And how could you? You're just a person. You don't have a PhD. How could you even dream of questioning this PhD that I agree with? And that's the only reason why I care about credentialism in this case. Because if they disagreed with me, I would not. Rosie says, MAID, that's one we forgot. MAID, another one. For depression, medical assistance in dying. So the government killing people, and the Trudeau government has, of course, expanded it now to literally just depression or drug addiction. Maybe you're depressed because you're addicted to drugs. Well, they've got a solution for you. It's a final solution. So I have to remind you about the veteran who wanted a stair lift. They said, best we can offer you is death. So again, that's another great example of demoralization. Not that you're bummed or that you're apathetic, but you just have no morals anymore. They've just been removed. You just become an immoral society. Rosie says, oh, and the liberation of unborn children's sake. I think most Canadians don't even know that we have that there are no restrictions in Canada, like right up until the moment of birth. Like the rest of the world, like Europe, the standard is about 12 weeks, I believe it is. In Canada, nothing. In fact, I wonder how many other countries in the world have literally no restrictions. We should check that out. Hold on. Let's do a fact check. I haven't pressed that button in a while. Where is it? There we go. Fact check. All right. Give me 1 second, guys. I'll be right there. All right. Hold on a sec. Canada has no federal laws restricting abortion, allowing it at any stage of pregnancy for any reason, with access regulated provincially. Hold on, let me bring this down a little bit, that a little bit smaller. With access regulated provincially as a medical procedure. Based on available data, only a small number of countries share this level of unrestricted access, defined as permitting abortion on demand without gestational limits or specific legal grounds, health, R-word, or fetal impairment. The countries identified as having no restrictions on abortion similar to Canada are Australia, no federal gestational limit, though some states have varying policies. China, well, they had their one-child policy. Guinea-Bissau, Mexico, decriminalized federally with no gestational limit, though state-level variations exist. South Korea, who's undergoing a actually, I think most of these countries are going through a demographic collapse at the moment as well as Canada. South Korea, Vietnam, These 7 countries, including Canada, allow abortion on demand without federal gestational limits. So that's it. Oh, North Korea, sometimes mentioned in older reports. So we can maybe add North Korea to the list of the demoralized countries. So that's 7 in the world. There's no European country in there. So I don't know. I mean, I think most Canadians don't even realize that. I think if you ask them, a lot of Canadians would be shocked. Like, you can get an abortion 10 minutes before the baby's going to be born if you can find a doctor to do it. I don't even want to read that one, Rosie. That's so disturbing. I'll let people see it in the chat. I don't even want to read it. It's too disturbing. All right. So there we go. There's our dose of Yuri Bezmenov, who warned us, and warned us and warned us. And we didn't listen, or not enough people listened. All right. So let's get to this Canadian. Actually, hold on. Let's get back to the chat for a second. Let's go back here. Let's get into the chat for a second. Oh, no, I've already done it all, I think, mostly. Hold on. All right, we'll actually just get into it. So, from Kyle Kemper. Now, that is actually Justin Trudeau's half-brother. He says, WTF, Uncle Mark and his friends just cut themselves a check for $33 billion without any parliamentary approval and no definition of what it's for. They can actually do this. It is legal. They do it with the Governor General. And this is money to just simply keep the government running. So it's grotesque that we still have to do this because we haven't had a sitting parliament since November. And that shows you the state of Canada. We haven't had a functioning government, functioning, representation since November of last year. So that's the state of Canada. That's the great democracy of Canada. All right. So this is $33 billion. This is an order in council. And 33 billion, 100 million and change, a lot of change, has been freed up to spend. So what is this actually being spent on? So I pulled it up. This is the from the government. This is from the government website. 33 billion, 100 million, and a lot of change. And what are they spending on? So you've got Administrative Tribunal Support Service of Canada. I didn't have time before the stream to go through all of these to look at exactly what all of these agencies do, but some of them are fairly self-explanatory. Atomic Energy of Canada Limited. Actually, there's 0 for that, so I don't know why they put them in there. Atlantic Canada Opportunities Agencies, there's 38 million there. So we're not going to go in and look at all of these individuals. We're going to look at one of them. But otherwise, we'd be doing this all night. Canada Council for the Arts. Is that really necessary? It's $45 million there. Is that, I mean, if you've seen Canadian arts, the question of, is it necessary, becomes rather academic, right? The answer is no. Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. They were so helpful to Mark Carney. They pushed for Mark Carney so hard. Mark Carney said he's going to give him a $150 billion raise. Of course, that's conditional on him winning. So I'm sure that didn't affect them at all. Let's see. So they're getting $178 billion. I would say they are not necessary for the running of the country, for the operation of the government. That's not, passport services or, making sure people get their pension checks. But they did work very, very hard for Mark Carney. So it's got to make sure they get paid. Canadian Human Rights Commission. That should just not exist. That's just basically That is an activist organization dedicated to trying to punish wrong thinkers. $4 million for that. Canadian Museum for Human Rights. Again, it's all the same stuff. Canadian Museum of Immigration at Pier 21. I actually did pull this one up. I had time to pull up one thing, and I did. Let's take a look. So this is from the Canadian Museum of Immigration at Pier 21. That's $1 million to them. Is it really super necessary for the functioning of the government? I'm not sure, but anyway, they're getting $1 million. So let's see. They put out a video here to tell us what they're all about.
We came from Ecuador with a bag full of dreams.
I grew up in Donegal in Ireland. I came to Toronto by myself.
We came from Turkey to have a better life for our kids.
From Syria in 1908.
I am from Burundi.
Came to Nova Scotia in 1795.
Became a citizen in 2023.
I love being part of the history of Canada.
This is one of the most meaningful museums I've ever been to.
Boy, I guess we're lucky none of those evil Europeans came to Canada. Oh, wait. This is so Canada 2025. It's just perfectly symbolizes where we are as a country. I mean, maybe it wasn't true when Trudeau said that Canada is the first post-national country. Maybe it wasn't true then. I guess it's probably true now. We're just nothing now. We're just whatever, the Canadian Museum of Immigration says we are, or just whoever got here 5 minutes ago says we are. Let's see. Canadian Race Relations Foundation, they're committed to making sure everybody knows that everything is racist and we're a perpetual genocide state. Department for Women and Gender Equality, $92 million for that. $92 million for that. Is that really necessary in a modern society? Is it really? I don't think so. Apparently, this is crucial for the running of the government, though. The country will just fall apart. Let's see. Telefilm Canada, $19 million. If you've ever seen anything that's come out of Telefilm Canada, you would not want to give them $19 million. So this was just, I had about 10 minutes just to go through this. So there's more. Maybe we'll do, maybe the next stream we'll go through in more detail and see how much money is being wasted in the name of, the continuing function of the Canadian government. Emergency funding. We can't survive without these things. We can't survive without this video. All right. So this is interesting. From Mark Nixon, breaking. Liberals just won a Quebec riding by one vote after a recount. Over 800 ballots disqualified. They're now at 170 seats, just 2 away from a majority. One vote, 840 ballots rejected. Imagine only 839 rejected ballots. What WTF is happening in Canada? It just seems like everything is just going the Liberals' way for some reason. They just managed to get that one vote that they needed. So I'm not going to say too much on this other than he needs a couple more. I think there's a few more that are recounts being done. And would anybody be particularly surprised if they end up getting those ones by 1 vote or 2 votes? What would really be helpful is some real transparency on all of this, which we're not getting. Like, how about images of these ballots? How about that? So we can see why they're rejecting ballots and does it make sense? Because this sort of thing is just going to create suspicion. I think that generally speaking, Canadian elections are very secure. It's hand counted paper ballots. There's observers. There are some odd things about, officials taking boxes of votes home, and there was a box of votes that wasn't counted. But you would always expect some human error. But I think we really would like to see some sort of accountability on this and some real transparency. Because this just looks, it just looks suspicious, doesn't it? I mean, I'm starting to wonder if Mark Carney had a very good reason to say that he wasn't going to try and form some sort of a deal with the NDP or flip NDP MPs over to the Liberals to get his Liberal majority. Maybe he knew he was going to get it all along. That's speculation. I'm not saying anybody did anything wrong or anything wrong has happened here, but I don't know. Let's see. What else do we have? Do we have anything underneath this? Yeah, so there are some suspicious things here. Chris McKee worked for Elections Canada on election night. His job, meet the drivers, check sealed ballot boxes, verify documentation, ensure the integrity of the vote. This is posted by Jim Ferguson. He arrived at 9 p.m. Ballots were expected by 9:30 from across the Durham region, but no cars came, no boxes, no ballots, just silence. And then the media declared the Liberals had won before a single vote from 52 voting locations had arrived. This wasn't just strange, it was system failure in plain sight. If you've worked in the process and saw something similar, now is the time to speak. Let's take a look.
Well, thanks very much indeed. Welcome to the show. I am Jim Ferguson. I've got a very interesting guest with me here today. His name is Chris McKee. Chris, welcome to the show, mate. It's great to see you.
Jim, thanks for having me.
Not at all. And I've just seen a post of yours going out. It's going viral. Multiple millions of views on many different platforms. What on earth is going on in Canada right now? So, what actually happened then when you started to uncover this?
So my particular job was, I was scheduled to show up around 9 p.m. A lot of the votes start coming in around 9:30, and we were kind of like the centralized office. So there's all these other ridings where people are voting all across Durham region. And then at night, once the votes are done, they physically drive them to our office where there was a group of us that were supposed to count. So my job was to kind of greet the people coming in their cars and make sure that all their stuff was kind of in line. Do you have the right documentation? Are the boxes and packages you have sealed properly? Because obviously these are ballots. And so I was there from 9 p.m. to about 10:30 p.m. Eastern, and not a single car had come in. We'd been getting some texts and phone calls saying, okay, such and such is driving in from here, because it's a big region. Some of them are 5 minutes away. Some of them are 40 minutes away.
Yeah, I'm sure CBC has already called this misinformation or something Putin something or other by now, but questions. It doesn't make you confident. And lack of transparency is going to breed more questions, right? Especially when everything just kind of always breaks one way. Let's see, from Tristan Hopper, we're not allowed to just run giant headlines reading, Canadians are imbeciles. So we're all trying to figure out more nuanced explanations for what happened. I think it's just imbeciles. Let's see. The people from Kirk Lubimov, the people who had the best of Canada, the people who had the best of Canada voted for the worst of Canada for future generations. That's right, the liberal boomers. Not all boomers, obviously, but the liberal ones. The Canadian liberal boomer grew up in this. Seems nice. I mean, that's an idealized version, but yeah, more like that than, let's see, mobs of Islamists chanting for Canada to die and the U.S. to die and Israel to die. And the Canada liberal boomers voted for the next generation. Yes. Oh, yes. And there is also the public defecation as well. There's that. So don't really like that very much. All right, let's leave that alone. Let's move on to the next thing. Trump tariffs. So Tim Pool posted this. He says, whoa, breaking from Trump War Room, breaking U.S. announces China trade deal. So we're not getting any big details in this. They'll be giving details tomorrow. U.S. Trade Representative Ambassador Jameson Greer. This was, as the secretary pointed out, a very constructive 2 days It's important to understand how quickly we were able to come to agreement, which reflects that perhaps the differences were not so large as maybe thought. That being said, there was a lot of groundwork that went into these 2 days. Just remember why we're here in the first place. The United States has a massive 1.2 trillion trade deficit. So the president declared a national emergency and imposed tariffs, and we're confident that the deal struck with our Chinese partners will help us work towards resolving that national emergency. Trump's just getting everything that he wants. So China's got a deal. Canada doesn't. But, Mark Carney told us, he was the one to stand up to Trump. Stand up to Trump. He was going to bend him to his will. I mean, first he was going to praise him as a transformational president and tell him how wonderful he is and how great he is. And then he was going to bend him to his will. Bend him to his will and fight back and elbows up. Have they changed it to asses up yet? Because it kind of seems like that's what it was. I mean, what do we get? See, we were the only, China and Canada were the only two countries. We're the only two countries to retaliate. We were the only ones to not get a break on the tariffs because of that. And now China's gone ahead and made a deal with Trump, and Canada still hasn't. Geez, I wonder if that constantly ranting for years about Trump in Parliament and on the news, even on American TV, I think. I wonder if all of that might have been a bad decision. I wonder if that might have been a bad choice. A lack of judgment, let's say. And Carney's entire campaign about how he's got to stand up to Trump and elbows up and blah blah blah. I wonder if it all was just a lack of judgment, maybe just a bad idea. I mean, if you actually cared about Canada, maybe it was just a lack of judgment. Maybe it says something about those people that they just cared about Canada and Canadians, the well-being of Canadians so little they would use the most cynical and reckless and destructive political ploys available to them if they thought it would work, and it did. So they got something. Everybody else gets nothing, of course. But I guess that's what happens when you have too many imbeciles in your country. Sorry. Educated, sophisticated, discerning liberal voters. Sorry. I forgot. They make sure to let me know how educated and intelligent they are. I had one person in the comments talking about how they were the only people with self-awareness. So if you weren't a Trudeau supporter, you had no self-awareness apparently because you weren't intelligent enough. Boy, oh boy. And it was, and also too, it was sad for them because it was such a burden for them to live with, the self-awareness. It was such a burden for them, because they're so intelligent and so therefore they could never be happy. And I was like, yikes, self-awareness strikes again. Pity. The YouTube comment section intellectual. Life is so hard for them. Pity the liberal voter, the self-aware liberal voter. So interesting. You kind of wonder if leaving a comment like that on a YouTube video actually betrays perhaps a lack of self-awareness. I don't know. I'm just an idiot who didn't want more of the same terrible policies that have been ruining the country for the better part of a decade. For a decade now. I'm just one of those fools, those rubes. Let's see. Here's Thomas Sowell quotes Howard Lutnick. So, talking about the tariffs and the reasons for the tariffs, the justifications for them. Let's watch this.
We are focused on Americans, right? President Trump's idea is to bring the golden age back to America, to reshore manufacturing, to build here, to have those people who build here not pay any tariffs. And if you want to build...
Well, wait a second. Mark Carney said that if you want to rebuild manufacturing in your country, you have to put massive carbon taxes on your companies and then demonize them publicly and say they're going to pay. That's how you do it. Well, let's let them continue.
Overseas, okay, you'll pay tariffs and you'll be less competitive in America, so build here. I mean, that's the idea. Open your markets if you want to continue to to not bring things home to America. Open your markets, let our exporters sell to you, finally get some fair trade, and let's bring lots of manufacturing back to America. But we are not, under any circumstances, focused on China when we're talking to other countries. When we're talking to China, of course our trade team is focused on China. But when we talk to other countries, there was no conversation in the UK or India or Japan or any of these other countries about China. Leave China alone. We are trying to grow America. We are focused on America. The goal.
Got a feeling that Canada's going to be more focused on China. That's going to be the main focus. Well, I mean, Mark Carney does have all those connections, right? Those loans and stuff. So, yikes. I don't know. Here's Lutnick again. So here's on CNN. And I think this is instructive. He's talking about the huge 1.2 trillion trade deficit with China, and why that's a bad thing.
America has a $1.2 trillion trade deficit. That means other people are selling us goods that more than we are selling them. And that's just not balanced. It's not fair. We're losing $1.2 trillion a year, of which directly and indirectly to China, that's about $1 trillion. You know, China sells goods to Vietnam. Vietnam repackages them and sells them to us. So the idea is the president wants balanced and fair trade, and tariffs are the tool to create balanced and fair trade. It's just unsustainable for $1.2 trillion to be exported to the rest of the world, meaning our money is going to the rest of the world. It's building them up. And over time, it's taken us down. And the president's here to fix it. So that's what he's trying to do with his tariffs. America.
It's so funny the way like people on like CNN or MSNBC or just legacy journalists writ large pretend like they've never heard of tariffs before or like Trump invented them, right? Like it's such a strange thing. Is it that they're totally empty-headed? They know literally nothing. Obviously, they're not journalists, right? They're just reading what goes on their teleprompter. They know what their producer hands to them on 2 sheets of paper before the broadcast, and then what comes out of the teleprompter. Is it that I think it is just that they're that empty-headed. They just literally know nothing. Yeah, so needless to say, Canada's going in the complete opposite direction. So soon we're not going to have an auto industry. It seems like it, which is a very bad thing for Canada. It seems like the entire Canadian approach to all of this has been totally and utterly wrong. And a good leader would have found something, would have made some sort of positive progress, right? Not being just totally counterproductive in every single way. Not just acted just purely out of political expedience. So I guess everybody in Canada will be driving a Chinese electric car, which you don't have to get a new one until it blows up. So yeah, probably within 5 years. That'll be great. Let's see. So yes, there's also a US-UK trade deal now. Tariffs on steel and aluminum reduced to 0. Tariffs on 100,000 UK cars per year cut from 25% to 10%. Exports beyond this quota face 27.5%. This is the sort of thing that the Canadian government should have been working towards. Of course, we don't have any deal. Trump says there's nothing, no plans for anything, any kind of deal with Canada. Turns out that things aren't working out great. That the economic genius isn't solving all of our problems. Maybe he made them actually worse. I don't know. Tariffs on UK jet engines and plane parts eliminated. The 10% baseline tariff on most other UK goods remains unchanged. It seems like there will be a 10% baseline on just everything from around the world. So everybody will be competing on, with each other with that 10% baseline. UK concessions, tariffs on US beef reduced to 0% with tariff-free quota of 13,000. Ethanol tariffs removed. 10 billion UK airline purchase of Boeing planes. UK tariffs on foreign steel introduced, aligning with US trade goals. So nothing for Canada, though. I mean, this still feels like a starting place to me. And we'll see what's in the actual Chinese deal tomorrow when they release the details. Seems like Mattel made a bad decision. They're the only, let's see. Well, let's watch this. Hold on.
Mattel, I don't know. I'm not so sure. They also said they're the only country I've heard. They said, "Well, we're going to go counter. We're going to try going someplace else." That's okay. Let him go, and we'll put 100% tariff on his toys, and he won't sell one toy in the United States, and that's their biggest market. I heard that. I mean, I watched this guy talking about how I'm going to go counter. I said, "Well, I wouldn't want to have him as an executive too long."
Yeah, he said country at the beginning. He meant company, I think. Mattel. So yeah, that's a dumb move. That's dumb. I guess the CEO of Mattel could be a perfectly fine prime minister for Canada. All the wrong moves. Yeah, so Trump's getting everything that he wanted. People can say whatever they want about his style, but he's getting what he wanted. He's doing what's right for his country, which every leader should do. That doesn't mean that every leader has to behave like Trump or try and emulate Trump or be a Trump clone. That can't work. Trump is a singular figure. There's not going to be he's like a once, there's not going to be another world leader like Trump for a while. And there really hasn't been one in, I don't know, like in 100 years, it's anywhere, really. Although the left does like to compare him to certain leaders from or at least one leader from the 20th century. But Trump is a singular figure. And the U.S.'s economic clout, their leverage is different than other countries, right? Like they have leverage. They have leverage that Canada doesn't have. You can't have a Canadian prime minister acting like Trump and using Trump strategy because it just simply won't work, right? But what a Canadian prime minister can do, what he can emulate from a Trump is the decision that we're going to have a renewal of Western civilization. We're going to have a renewal of Canada, right? And he's going to do what's best for Canadians, not what's best for the World Economic Forum or the UN or, a global, financial alliance on net zero, not what's best for that, but for Canadians, actual Canadians, right? Canadian citizens. Do that, emulate Trump in that way, and also decide that Western country isn't evil. In fact, it's great. In fact, it's the height it's the pinnacle of human achievement, of human well-being, freedom in all of history, and it's not even close. And double down on that. Those are the two things you can do that a world leader should do. Can you just copy Trump? No, because you don't have the same cards that Trump has, right? But if you're starting from those two basic places, right? No, you're not evil, and you're not going to be a masochistic society determined to just gradually decline, to go with managed decline, and that you're going to do what's actually best for your own people. That's the good place to start from. And then you figure out what leverage you have from there. A good place to start is not destroying your economy to make people in Davos happy and to make your friends at Brookfield happy. I guess a good place to start is not to extract every bit of wealth from your country to feed global organizations and organizations like Brookfield and industries, make people rich in industries that can't exist without the subsidies that Canadians are going to be paying for them. And as soon as those subsidies are gone, so will the company. That's the kind of energy superpower Canada's going to become. Not one at all. All right. Let's get to the chat for a second. Let's see. Do it. Xerxes in it. Xerxes, good to see you again. Let's see. Where is the new Italian room? Oh, you're talking about here, the cappuccino lady. Yes. So it's handy to know how to make a cappuccino. So I thought, you guys like these instructional videos, these cooking videos. So I thought this was a good one. We didn't have a cappuccino making video. So anyway, there it is. So, pay attention. And cappuccinos for everybody. Izzy, how you doing? Good to see you. Got like number 6. Well, you still get good. You don't get double good karma, but you still get good karma from that. Make good use of it. Let's see. Nevada, how you doing? Good to see you. I'm feeling better than I was on Friday for sure. This year has sucked, though, I have to say. I really blame myself because I've not been living healthy. I've not had a healthy diet. I have not been exercising enough. So I really blame myself for it. So I need to be more conscientious about my own health if I don't want to be. And sometimes you just get kind of unlucky too, So I don't know. All right. Nevada says, not since George Washington, a transformational leader. Yeah, you're probably right. Talking about Trump. A singular figure like that. All right. So I think Miles sent this one in. Is Miles still on here? From Mark Nixon, new poll. If Quebec keeps blocking pipelines, 85% of Albertans and Saskatchewans say they'd consider separation. Ottawa is playing with fire. So Canada really desperately needs a pipeline from west to east to the east coast to get Alberta energy to places like Europe, right? So we can diversify our market, essentially, which we really need to do. But Quebec is absolutely dead set against pipelines. And Mark Carney refused to get rid of the No New Pipelines Bill, Bill C-69. In French, he said that no pipelines in French, he said no pipelines for Quebec. In English, he says west to east pipeline. It's just not going to happen. Let's take a look at what he has to say about it. And this guy's worth a follow.
You might find this ironic, probably funny. See this province right here? They begged to separate from Canada. They actually held a referendum and almost was successful at doing so with 49% of the vote. You need 51% in order to separate. And get this province might be the one that's responsible for the separation of this province. A new poll was conducted, and currently 38% of Albertans want to separate. But that number explodes upwards if this province prevents pipelines from being built in their province. And here's the poll response. What if Quebec makes it clear that they will block pipeline construction through their province? This is Alberta. This is Saskatchewan. The red more likely to want to leave. 85% and also 85%. Quebec, they're the ones receiving billions upon billions of dollars in equalization payments. And if they block the pipelines from being built in their province, these two provinces are going to be out. And Danielle Smith has made it very clear she's going to give Ottawa and Quebec 12 months to figure it out. Would love to hear from you in the comments section. Thanks for watching.
So before the election, it was 30% support for separation in Alberta. And I think it was similar in Saskatchewan as well. It's gone up sharply since then. And that's, keep in mind, there's no leader. There are individual little movements here and there, but there's no kind of consolidated movement for independence. There's no real movement. There's no real leader. And it's already at 38%. That tells you something, right? What the real effects, certainly nothing's going to get better over the next year with Mark Carney. Maybe there'll be an illusion of that as he, throws in stimulus and, basically throws a bunch of money around, borrows a bunch of money to throw around to stimulate the economy, just giveaways, trying to buy votes, essentially, which will, of course, end up causing inflation, right away as well, right after. So it just makes it worse, ultimately. But after a couple of years of not only the same policies as Trudeau, but supercharged, I don't find it difficult to think they can get that extra like 13% to get to 51%. I don't find that difficult. Now, beyond that, if they have a referendum and they get 51%, that's only the first step. Then you've got years of legal wrangling beyond that. I think that Mark Carney is more of an authoritarian, more of a central planner. I think Mark Carney is a real central planner. I think he's probably a capable central planner as well. But I think, if anything, he's more authoritarian than Justin Trudeau, and even more likely to use things like the Emergencies Act or to send the police or to send the army in somewhere. I'm not optimistic. I'm not optimistic with the future of Canada and what the technocrat, globalist, central banker. I'm not optimistic about what he has in store for Canada or his intentions or what he's capable of. He's a classic central planner. He's a man who spent his life looking at spreadsheets, and that's all Canadians are to him. They're numbers on a spreadsheet. All right. And let's listen to Danielle Smith, the Premier of Alberta.
Well, maybe the best way to describe it is for people to examine how scared and fearful they are that Donald Trump will crush their economy. That's how scared and fearful Albertans are that the Liberals will continue to crush our economy.
How?
All of the damage that we have seen over the last 10 years, most of it has come from bad federal policy coming out of the alliance between the Liberals and the NDs to target our industry and to put in punitive policies that are designed to keep our oil and gas in the ground. Maybe that's the best way to understand the feelings Albertans have right now. Now, I'm feeling very hopeful. I think I've said before that I don't know if we've got conservative banker Mark Carney, who is our prime minister, or whether we've got a net zero advisory council to Justin Trudeau. Mark Carney is our prime minister, but I want to see which one that is. And I do think that if we can find a pragmatic path forward, then it's going to work for Canada and it's going to work for Alberta.
She is not advocating for separation, but she's saying that she will respect the will of the people if that's what they demand. We'll have to see. I mean, I'm just not optimistic. You see the media, here's CTV News. Of course, they get money from the federal government as well, not just the CBC. Mark Carney held a master class on how to deal with Donald Trump. Master class. He spoke for 3 minutes out of 30. And again, he told Donald Trump that he was a transformational president and said lots of nice things about him and how we're going to work together and everything. And Trump said lots of nice things about Mark Carney. I was a very nice man, a bunch of flattering things, and then went on to just basically ritually humiliate him for the whole rest of the time. In the nicest way possible. But here's the thing, like Mark Carney's sitting right next to him. He's talking about Canada being the 51st state. Mark Carney says, and everybody swooned. Everyone in the CBC swooned, and the mainstream media swooned. Mark Carney says, Canada's not for sale. Some places will never be for sale. Right? Wow. That's so impressive. And then Trump immediately said, well, never say never. Again, he humiliated him in the nicest way possible, the most respectful way possible. Nevada says, Trump throttled Carney. I don't see how you walk away from that feeling like proud. Like I thought it was personally just embarrassing. I mean, Carney's achievement was not getting Zelensky'd. That's about it. And he didn't cry. Let's see. What are you guys saying in the chat? Let's get to the chat. Let's see. Nevada says, wait 6 months and see what the percentage is. Yeah. Yes, 100. Yes. Nevada says probably won't be 38% that want to stay. No. The thing about Carney's policies, it's not that they won't improve Canada's economy or improve the well-being of Canadians. It's that they can't. Like, there's no way to massage the net zero path and the central planning to improve Canadians' lives. Like, it just simply won't. It can't improve Canadians' lives. It can't. Let's see. Massively increasing the debt even for, again, we're not talking about how, last year we had a balanced budget or something and we had very little debt. No, we've got massive debt already. The national debt had been doubled under Trudeau. We spend more servicing the interest on the national debt now than we do in transfer payments for healthcare to the provinces. That's a big deal. That's an extremely big deal. Massively adding on to that is not in Canadians' interest. It's in the interest of the companies, the green companies, that Mark Carney is going to be subsidizing to give the illusion that somehow we're having some kind of industrial boom in Canada. But these are companies that they won't be able to exist without the subsidies. This is the problem. And then we can't, not even getting into the forcing everybody to drive electric cars and what that's going to do to the grid and what that's going to be like when the power goes out for 3 days in the middle of January when it's minus 35 out. Total lunacy. Held a masterclass in how to deal with Donald Trump. This is the Canadian media. This is every bit as bad as CNN or MSNBC. Every bit as bad. Yeah, underneath, Ezra Levant asked, so we got the tariffs removed? No. He achieved nothing. He achieved nothing except being humiliated by Donald Trump and smiling through it. We've gotten absolutely nothing. We're at the bottom now. Like, we're at the back of the line. We're right next door to the United States, right? Biggest trading partner. And we're at the back of the line. Trump's saying he doesn't even have any plans to talk. There's no plans to even talk about renegotiating USMCA. That's how far Canada has fallen. That's what Canadian politicking, liberal politicking has gotten us. We're actually at the back of the line at this point. China's signing a deal with the United States. Mark Carney held a masterclass on how to do it. I mean, it would be funny if it wasn't so sad, if it wasn't so pathetic that this is what we have. This is the level of social engineering in Canada now. And there's no counterpoint except in independent media. It's actually getting to the point. I see stuff like this and it actually fills me with fear. Like, this is so... Where's Yuri Bezmenov? Can we get a new... Does he have a son? Can he move to Canada, please? Let's see. Xerxes says, Carney was sad. He could have just made a joke about it. Yeah, it was sad. Nevada, Trump said to his face, we don't want your cars, steel, aluminum. We don't need them. I'm rebuilding our resources. Mark Carney held a masterclass. Really? Masterclass? Huh. It seems like we got nothing. In fact, we're losing an awful lot. You're right, Nevada. Nevada says it was a triple bitch slap, but he said it politely. Exactly my point. Exactly. Nevada says, I almost felt sorry for the stinking commie. Stinking commie. Let's see. Xerxes says, yep. And Nevada says, I wonder if the election, well, I don't think so. I mean, there's some stuff that's a little bit suspicious going on now, but I think in terms of the actual result of the election, I think the Canadian elections are pretty secure. Not that there's not always something anywhere. There is when you've got so many people involved, but I'd have to see more evidence. I mean, if I saw the evidence, I would absolutely say that. But in any case, what a shame. I would say that those sophisticated, discerning liberal voters are going to come to regret their vote, but they won't, is the thing. They won't. They never will. They didn't know why. They had no real reason to vote for Carney in the first place, other than just fashion, other than just this kind of learned distaste for just the word conservative. They just heard credentials, and that was enough. CBC said, Pierre Poilievre mean, but Carney really competent. Resume. Don't look too deep. Don't look too deep. But look at this, Chairman of the Bank of England. Don't look any further than that, though. Just know that he was that, and that sounds impressive. Don't actually go any further. Liz Truss is in Canada, but we're not going to get an interview with her because we know what she's going to say. That would be looking too deeply into his credentials, into his resume, which we don't want you to do. Because we're journalists. Nevada says, I saw people taking home boxes of early ballots for the weekend. Apparently, this is actually totally legal in Canada. As insane as that sounds, that's actually legal in Canada. And they're sealed and they're supposed to be inspected and stuff, but you still have to think like, maybe we should look into that further. All right. All right. What else did we have? Canadian media bias. Where was that? All right. Well, let's just move on. A little bit more Canada stuff. So Mark Nixon, a warning from the Bank of Canada. Let's see. So this is coming before Mark Carney is going to start to create an even more massive national debt for the country. 60% of Canadians will face much higher mortgage rates. Well, let's just hear it from them. Let's take a look. Senior Deputy Governor, let's hear.
12 months, particularly in households without a mortgage. For example, the share of these households that are behind on credit card or auto loan payments has continued to go up. Among households with a mortgage, about 60% are facing renewal this year or next. Most of those renewing will see their payments rise because they took out their mortgage during the pandemic when rates were at historic lows. But the average increase in payment will be smaller than we expected a year ago. Still, if a large shock causes job losses, it'll be harder for some households to keep up with their debt payments. A prolonged trade war may be that shock. It would cause demand for Canadian exports to fall. It would disrupt supply chains, threatening jobs and incomes. Workers in trade-dependent industries could find it particularly difficult to continue managing their debt. A prolonged trade war would also matter for businesses. Most Canadian businesses have managed to adjust to past interest rate increases, and the surge in small business insolvencies last year proved to be temporary. But businesses in trade-related sectors, especially those with high debt, low profitability, or cash reserves, could also fall behind on debt payments.
Geez, I guess we better do. I guess we better do something different then. Oops, too late. We decided to do the exact same thing, but only more. Because elbows up, although I guess now it's asses up. It's been changed. Xerxes asks, Richie, you're not missing Justin T, are you? Are you talking about Trugina? They say that he's a man, but he's also a vagina. That's why they call him Justin Trugina. It's not nice. It's not a nice thing. Amazingly, Canada, again, the sophisticated, discerning voters of Canada, the educated voters of Canada, have elected somebody even worse than Justin Trudeau. Because TV said that Pierre Poilievre is mean. He's mean. And don't forget as well, now, even though Trump clearly endorsed Mark Carney and wanted him to win and was thrilled when he won, and then later bragged that he'd gotten Mark Carney elected. So, I mean, it's fairly obvious that in order to really stick it to Donald Trump, Canadian Liberals elected the guy that Trump wanted, that he endorsed, which I guess, I don't know. But you got to understand, it was reverse psychology. So Trump was playing reverse psychology. This is how they're coping with it. This is our cope. It was reverse psychology. They didn't fall for that. They didn't fall for that. Oh, yikes. I guess it's still reverse psychology. Let's see. Nevada. They said it's normal. Taking the boxes home. Yeah, that's what they said. I think we need to look into that a little bit more, though. A little bit more. Nevada says, seems a little fishy. It sure does. Xerxes says, does Canada use those fishy Dominion voting machines? They're not used in the federal election. It's hand counted. The federal elections are hand counted, but provincially they are used. I think they're used in the Maritimes, and I think actually they're using them as in sometimes in BC as well, but not for the federal election. Xerxes says, Pierre Poilievre messed up. I disagree, to be honest. If you take a look at the polling, in fact, let's pull up the polling. Hold on. Let's pull up the polling. Give me 1 second here. I just got to find Canada election polls. Hopefully I can find this fairly quickly. Let's see. Hold on. Just give me a second. Poll tracker. Okay, I think it's in here. Let's see. So the blue line is the Conservatives, Pierre Poilievre. The red line is the Liberals. You can see here, there's January 6th. They're at 20%, which was their bottom. And that's when Justin Trudeau announced he was going to resign. And you see the line just go straight up. So this wasn't that Mark Carney was some... In fact, and you see it goes up immediately, and that's before Mark Carney was even chosen as the leader of the Liberal Party and then the new prime minister. It was just all these Liberal voters who were kind of apathetic just decided, well, Trudeau's gone, I'm a Liberal again. If you take a look at Pierre Poilievre's support, like there is the height, there's the pinnacle of his support, 44.8%. The election results were 41 point something. He was about 3 points off. So you could say he lost 3 points from the very peak of his popularity. That's not him blowing it. That's the 41%, over 41% was the most, by far the most conservative votes, conservative vote share in 40 years. Okay, so it's not like, okay, if Pierre Poilievre had gone from 44% support to 24% support, that's blowing it. Okay, that's not what happened. He brought in way more conservative. He brought in a bunch of people who just had never voted before. He brought in all kinds of new conservative voters, mostly people I think who hadn't voted. I think very few Liberals, some, but very few. There was some there was some working class NDP, but most of the NDP went over to the Liberals. So what you had is just simply leftists in Canada just wanted a different face, and they didn't care about the policy, just a different face. They got it. Mark Carney, the second that he announced that he'd like to be prime minister, the CBC, the legacy media in Canada, put him on a throne. They put a crown on his head and a sword in his hand and said, this is the man. And everybody went, TV says, TV says, TV says. That's what happened. No, Pierre Poilievre didn't mess up. He didn't blow it. Like where he wasn't going to get 55% of the vote. What happened was all the leftists decided to not vote split and vote Liberal. So the NDP lost 11% of their vote from the last election. They all went over to the Liberals. So normally you have the vote splitting between the leftist parties, the Liberals and the NDP. We didn't have much of that this time. They all went to the Liberals and they squeaked it out by a couple of points. And because they have a more efficient vote anyway, they were almost at a majority government right now. So, no, Poilievre did a remarkable job. He did a great job. It's just that, like, can you say that Larry Elder blew it in the recall in California? Or did he do a really good job? It's just that it's California. Like if somebody runs for mayor of San Francisco and they're a conservative and they don't win, did they blow it? Like if they get the most conservative, most Republican vote in San Francisco in 40 years, but they don't win, would you say that they blew it? Canada is now like San Francisco. So in so many ways, like we've just had reports of just all of the human waste around Vancouver, just like San Francisco, right? You've got homeless encampments and, drug addicts everywhere in Canada. You've got rampant crime in Canada now. I mean, the comparisons just keep going on and on. You've got investment fleeing from San Francisco, just like you have in Canada, as you've had for the last 10 years in Canada. It's all the same thing. The only difference is with Canada, there's nobody to bail us out, right? The federal government's there to bail out California or New York. Canada doesn't have anybody to bail us out. So we really are going to have to own our mistakes and our failures. So, but my point being, Poilievre didn't blow it. He actually did very, very well. He expanded the voting base massively, the most in 40 years. It's just Canada is a left wing. It's a radical progressive country now. It's California. And there may not be a way out of it. That might just be the reality. I don't want to be black-pilled. I'm going to try and be as optimistic as I can. I mean, the final vote ended up being only a couple of points different, right? It's like 41 something to 43 something. Maybe we can get there. Maybe we can wake up another couple percent of the country. Maybe there's another couple percent or a few percent of, politically unengaged people who will find that line where they realize, they may not be interested in politics, but politics is very interested in them. So maybe we can find that place. Maybe we don't have to be San Francisco in perpetuity. But maybe we do. Again, I'm going to try not to blackpill myself and blackpill everybody else. I'm going to try and start finding a more optimistic way to look at it. Maybe that's the way, right? Maybe it's not like we have 100% voting in Canada. There's still lots of people. There's still lots of politically unengaged young people who, again, they might find that line where all of a sudden they realize that politics really does matter, and we just have to be there for them with some common sense and sanity for when they come to that moment, when they have that epiphany. So that's, I think, the positive way to move forward. I don't want to be on here every week blackpilling everybody, because that's just no good. And, it's never over. It's never over. But we do have to face the fact, if we're going to solve this problem, we do have to face the fact that Canada is a leftist country now. And it's not a liberal country anymore. It's not a liberal country anymore. It's a radical progressive country. The Liberal Party is not a liberal party. It's an illiberal, radical progressive party, moving ever closer towards authoritarianism and central planning. We do have to recognize that. And because before the election, I just overestimated the Canadian public. I saw what had happened in British Columbia with the provincial election, where the Conservatives, who hadn't even been a party in decades, came out of nowhere and almost won. Almost won. It was almost like 50-50 in the province. That would have been like, California almost going for Trump. So I ended up overestimating Eastern Canada. And it was really Eastern Canada that was the problem in this. And I won't do that again. And I ended up overestimating the level of social engineering in Canada. The level of parasitization in Canada. So you have to recognize that, the true believers, there's no talking to them. There's no reason. They're never going to see reason. They will just keep rationalizing in their heads why. Well, again, like take a look at California or New York, right? They may recognize that things are bad. People there may recognize that things are bad, but they're not going to vote Republican. They're just going to get a new Democrat leader. And they'll just keep doing that because they're no longer capable. They find it so distasteful to vote for a different party. that it's just over. All right. Let's see. Xerxes says, Polyev is young. Next election, maybe. I really liked him. Yeah, I like him too. I like him too. I think he is going to stay on, and I think that's the right move. I think he did a great job. I think that it's just, it's not, this is not an asymmetric war. Or it is an asymmetric war. I mean, in Canada, you've got a totally united media cartel that has one goal that is no longer about trying to inform the public. It is just simply about narrative control and their own interests. And, yeah, you have a large part of the public that is just simply parasitized now, right? And you have to try and get to, I think you just have to try and get to the young people, and offer them a sane path forward, a sane vision of the future. Nevada says, Pierre was the obvious choice this time. Yep. Let's see. Nevada said it's a stinking commie party. Yes, the Liberals are a stinking commie party. They're no longer a liberal party. They're not your father's liberal party. They're something else now. Justin Trudeau completely transformed them. And what's shocking is how easily he did it as well. All right, JDL makes a great point here. Hit the like button. JDL makes a great point. Hit the like button. Everybody hit the like button. Come on, it's so crucial. So crucial. Also, subscribe to the channel. For God's sakes, what are you waiting for? Nevada says, New York City and Chicago, just too stupid to go for Trump. Nevada says, these people just like misery. Xerxes says, New York polls show strong move red. They have, but again, I don't believe it's close to like flipping for the Republicans as a state in a presidential election. Nevada just hit the like button. Why didn't you? That's the question you should be asking yourself right now, those of you who have not hit the like button. There's never been a more important question. What are we on? An hour and 34 minutes. Wow. Okay. So where the hell were we? What were we doing? Let's see. Oh, yeah. So Canada's future is terrible. Just terrible. What do we got now? So, so Mark Carney has informed us that there may be a war against woke in the States, but in Canada, we value inclusivity, and diversity. So let me show you some of our greatest strength in Canada. From Andy No, Victoria, Canada, Muslim scholar and preacher Sheikh Yunus Kathrada, Sheikh Yunus Kathrada, gave an extremist sermon. What? A Muslim scholar wouldn't do that. An extremist sermon to children at the Muslim Youth of Victoria, praising kids who want to kill for Islam, apparently. Oh, dear. Let's see. He also led a prayer asking for Allah to curse and destroy the Jews. So, did somebody say diversity? Let's take a look.
Kids, some of them 10 years old. I'm sure you've heard some of those clips where a child says, I live to be a martyr. In other words, I live to die. Yes. I live to fight for the sake of Allah. I live to defend al-Islam and the Muslims. I live to defend al-Masjid al-Aqsa. Yeah, there are lots of examples of them. And you know something? It's not just the young boys, the young girls as well. Some of those little girls, they are braver than every single one of us put together. One little girl braver than all of us. Did you not hear that little girl say, I want to grow up and I want to get married and I want to give birth to and raise martyrs. Ay wallah. What
So he's not a feminist. We know that much.
kind of bravery is that? What are we doing for the ummah? What are we doing for Islam and the Muslims? Those young kids, they are literally putting their lives on the line. They will be killed, many of them. Why? Only because they say, La ilaha illallah. We are Muslims. We want to live by Islam. We will protect al-Masjid al-Aqsa. This is why they're being killed. Allahumma ansur ikhwanana al-mujahid.
That's our greatest strength. So he seems like a psychopath to me. So when they say diversity, do they mean like everything? Like every single thing? Because this guy just seems like a psychopath. And I don't really see how this fits into, I don't know, what's supposed to be a liberal democracy. I don't know what it is. We're a post-national thing now, apparently. But it doesn't seem, I don't know, it seems counterproductive for a flourishing society. So it's like, do we want to introduce parts of like the 7th century to Canada and then celebrate that? I don't really know. I mean, it just sounds like he's very happy about children martyring themselves. I just feel like this, again, this doesn't, if we have a core identity, I don't feel like this is it. And I don't really want this to be it. So maybe like, I don't know, the Canadian anti-hate network might want to take, of course they're not going to, I guess they wouldn't be considered right wing. So they're not going to look at it. I'm just kind of speechless, really, when you see like, this is Canada, this is Victoria, Vancouver Island. It just leaves you kind of speechless. Like this is how insane we've become, that this is what we welcome into our country. This is the diversity. I mean, I'm sure under Mark Carney's new censorship laws he wants to bring in, I could probably certainly have my channel nuked for even criticizing this and maybe prosecute. Who knows, right? Who knows? It's just, this is the death of the West, right? This is the death of Western civilization. This is welcoming the 7th century into your country. Because there's nothing to differentiate this aside from the technology used to record it and capture it. There's nothing to differentiate this from the 7th century. You could just imagine this guy back in 680 or something, or the year 720 or something, just saying the exact same thing. What would be the difference? Jam says the scary part is he is not a psychopath. We need to wake up. Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. This is ideological, right? Like Islam is an ideology. This is ideological. It's a set of ideas. Where's the CBC for this? Like, I can find it and show it to you guys. CBC will never show this to you. Not in a million years. Right? The feminists at the CBC will never show this to you. Right? I mean, just the part about how the girl's role is to get married and have babies that can become martyrs. That doesn't sound like getting the corner office to me. But of course, we're insane. And the West apparently has a death wish, as do voters, at least in Canada. The U.S. made the right choice, thankfully. Let's see. How about this? So do you want to see the absolute state of Canada? From the Globe and Mail, opinion. What do encampments offer that shelters don't? A chance to build community. A chance to build community. Homeless encampments, tents. What do they offer that shelters don't? A chance to build community. We have lost our minds. What do encampments offer that shelters don't? A chance to build community. The strict rules at shelters that discourage communities from forming. What are the strict rules, by the way? Like you can't smoke crack in them. That discourage communities from forming are based on the belief that humans are individual units. Jesus, Canada's just gone full commie. Full commie. Based on the belief that humans are individual units. Here we go. That those who live at the edges of modern capitalism are problems who must be disciplined and constrained, but none of us can truly survive alone. Well, it also helps not to be a drug addict. It would also help if, like, when people are mentally ill, if maybe they do something for them, maybe they put them somewhere where they can get treatment and not be a danger to themselves and others, instead of just being good little progressives and stepping over the bodies on our way to get our chai latte at fucking Starbucks. It's so insane. Yeah, I tell you what. The solution for the problems caused by progressive policies is always just more progressive policy. It wasn't far left enough. It wasn't fucking crazy enough. More crazy. In fact, homeless encampments are now communities, and it's a perfectly legitimate way of life. This is the way that they think. Have we lost our minds? Yes, we have lost. Yes, clearly we've lost our minds. Let me read this for you again. What do encampments offer that shelters don't? A chance to build community. Holy good Lord. The strict rules at shelters that discourage communities from forming. You're talking about people living in tents in parks, for God's sakes, or on the side of the road. The strict rules, like you can't turn tricks or smoke meth in them or stab each other. The strict rules at shelters that discourage communities from forming are based on the belief that humans are individual units. No, we're just all faceless cogs in some fucking commie machine, obviously. Some progressive machine. I don't agree with that. That those who live at the edges of modern capitalism, because capitalism's bad, are problems who must be disciplined and constrained. But none of us can truly survive alone. This is all just straight up lunacy. Those who live at the edges of modern capitalism, you mean drug addicts, mentally ill people, are problems who must be disciplined and constrained. Yeah, there's no problem. There's no problem. Hey, that guy who breaks into, 80 cars a day to feed his habit, no problem. That's actually just capitalism or something. He just needs to form a community of like-minded, insane drug addicts in your local park. Yes, disciplined and constrained. Yes, I think people who break the law need to be disciplined and constrained. Absolutely. I think that we shouldn't just accept that, these communities of mentally ill drug addicts living in tents in parks is just a totally legitimate way of life. Obviously, it's not helping them. Just pretending that everything's fine is not a solution. Like, I don't see where the empathy is. Like, these people have families, right? Families who you would assume still care about them. Maybe we should do something actually constructive and not pretend that they're just forming communities. These people are insane. Of course, you have to get the word capitalism in there because nothing good ever came from capitalism except everything good that's ever happened in the world, except the pinnacle of human achievement. That's all. The pinnacle of human well-being. That's all. People weren't trying to get into the Soviet Union. Well, a few were. Idiots were. Idiots. But, really it's out. People are trying to get out of the communist countries. People are trying to get out of Cuba. Nobody's trying to bust into North Korea. Like, It's capitalism. That's the problem. The best thing, the thing that's caused the greatest increase in human well-being, and it's not even close in all of history. That's the problem. They're communists. They're communists. What percentage of the mainstream media, this is the Globe and Mail, what percentage of these people are just straight up commies? This is pure communism. Let's see. Here's the community she's talking about. So nice communities like this. So I don't know. You can get yourself a nice little. That's a nice little retirement place right there. You can get. So yeah, we can't. It's a paywall. I don't think we need to go any further. The encampment outside St. Stephen's in the Field Anglican Church in Toronto, November 24th, 2023. The encampment's residents were evicted later that day. So communities like this one, community, they're just building community there. Yeah, that's just because this is just a normal neighborhood actually now. This in Canada now, this is just a normal neighborhood, right? This one here is probably $800,000, by the way. One room, one bathroom. Sorry, toilet, one bucket. Sorry. It's just, it's hard to believe. It's hard to believe this is the social conditioning. This is the social engineering I'm talking about. And there's no counterpoint to this in Canada, by the way. Let's see. JDL says, migrant military service ahead. It does make you wonder. We seem to be determined to start a world war with fucking Russia. Nevada says, Trump is taking away the money to house illegals and using it for homeless vets. The whole illegal thing is just, again, like that was normal. Like you get rid of people that are in your country illegally, especially if they're committing a further crime beyond the crime of breaking into the country illegally. That was just common sense. Everybody agreed, regardless of the politics. Xerxes says, only an elite writer completely removed from reality would write that ridiculous article claiming encampments are positive communities. Yes. Totally delusional. This is a parasitized mind. This is somebody whose mind has been taken over by a mind virus, by an idea pathogen. Nevada says, it's a wonderful meth community. Nevada says, and don't forget the fentanyl. Good Lord. Yep. Canada just couldn't be any more loony, it turns out. There's a thing over here about a forced DEI training experience in Saskatchewan, of all places, but I think we'll skip that one for now. Maybe we'll get to that one later. So let's see what's going on here. Oli London posted this. Canadians send a message to Indians. We do not welcome you on the land of Vancouver. We do not welcome you on the land of freedom. Land of Canada, go back to your country. So again, more diversity. I don't know. I personally never was pining to be in the middle of conflict between Sikhs and Indians or Pakistanis and Indians or a part of the Eritrean civil war, or I wasn't pining to have Gaza in Canada on the streets of Montreal or Toronto or Vancouver. Nobody ever voted on any of this. All of the world's problems have to now become Canada's problems. It would have been good if somebody had just said, like Pierre Poilievre said during the campaign, for people, you're welcome to come to Canada, but leave your old world problems behind. Canada, you're in Canada now. We don't want that. Great. We're doing a great job. This is all totally sane. Completely sane. What's going on here? Andy, no. Outside the Riley Gaines speaking event of University of Wisconsin that was targeted by Trantifa and Antifa, Seattle journalist Brandy Cruz interviewed a gay man who was misled into fully surgically transitioning. He says he suffered untreated traumas from childhood abuse. That's who they seem to prey on the most, actually. Let's take a look. This is 6 minutes long. I don't know if we'll watch the whole thing.
I medicalized 17 years ago at an LGBT center. I'm a CSA survivor. Doctors told me that what was wrong with me and how I felt about my body was
17 years ago, so obviously a child.
Not from CSA, even though I went there and said, did CSA make me this way?
CSA?
Yes, a childhood sexual assault. And they said no. They said no. They said being gay is innate and being trans is innate, and what you have is gender identity disorder. They diagnosed me with gender dysphoria, and I believed their bullshit for about 17 years.
Wow. So for you, I mean, to what extent did you go through an actual are you willing to tell me everything that you went through?
Yeah, so I had FFS, I had SRS, I had an orchiectomy, I had facial feminization surgery, I had sex reassignment surgery, I was on HRT for 17 years, now I'm on a combo dose because I can't go off. I have multiple health conditions from transitioning young and for transitioning for so long.
Wow. So what was it for you that kind of woke you up to this isn't what I should have done?
I found out that homosexual transition was environmentally caused in almost every single case by childhood sexual assault or by internalized homophobia or failed boy syndrome. 92.5% of trans-identified males are straight and bisexual, and the only explanation for a straight or bisexual man to transition is autogynephilia. So from my perspective, I went there and I was given a blanket diagnosis. It's given to anybody who has a body issue as a child nowadays.
Did they ever try to refer you to like a therapist or any?
I went to therapy for a year. I saw psychologists. I was diagnosed. It took a year back then, not 15 minutes. And I was in the South on the East Coast. But they still believed that transsexualism was innate, that gender identity was this innate disorder that people just had. And like CSA didn't really rule you out.
So, having this is your experience. You actually went through this and you're still, you still have the effects of it. How do you find your story received by people who continue to sort of push medicalization?
They hate me. They call me a bigot. They say that trans women are women. They say that gender dysphoria is a valid diagnosis. I've combed through trans history. I've read all of the old academics who created this. If you go back to like the early 1900s, transition was conceived by old academics who were trying to find a way for homosexuals to exist in a fascist world in Europe. Havelock Ellis, Magnus Hirschfeld, that's why it was made. It just so happens that AGP is also real, and that got latched onto. A bunch of AGPs transitioned, and fast forward 100 years ago, and we have 100 years forward, and we have an ideology that's based on lies that kids are told to as soon as they have issues. And God forbid you're effeminate and you believe that something's wrong with you as a man because you like pretty things and are sassy.
So how do you identify now?
I'm a gay man.
And I mean, for people around you, have you lost friends or anyone by detransitioning?
I was canceled by every friend I had who was liberal in this city and had to leave the city.
And you live here?
I live outside of the city now because I had to leave.
So how old are you now?
I am 34 and married.
What is the message that...
So 17 years, 14. But trust the science, trademark. Canada's doing this to, we don't even know. We don't have the number. Thousands of children right now. Trust the science, they say. Trust the experts, they say.
You would send, obviously there's protesters here, Riley Gaines.
Why isn't the CBC talking to her and other people, or to him? Sorry, to him. Why isn't the CBC talking to these people? Why aren't they putting together some sort of expose on it? Why is no Canadian media doing that? You know, would there be no interest? Of course, I think there'd be a lot of interest. People might actually watch something for a change. Why not? Because it's ideological, because it's nothing to do with the science. There's nothing to do with health care. It's just ideology. That's all it is. It's grotesque. It's just genuinely horrific. I would say get a lawyer, get 100 lawyers. Start suing now. All right. There's something I want to... How far down do I have to find it? Let's see. Where is it? Hold on a second. Where is it? Is it in here? No, not in there. So you know what? There's something I want to find, but here we go. Okay. From Billboard Chris. And this was from November 11th, 2024. The president of WPATH, the World Professional Association for Transgender Health, says that none of the boys who had their puberty blocked have been able to have an orgasm as an adult. So obviously, if you have your puberty blocked, you're not going to, your reproductive organs are not going to develop. Your brain's not going to develop properly. Your bones, your body is not going to develop. You're not going to grow into a healthy adult body, obviously. But WPATH, the World Professional Association of Transgender Health, is the authority to which all the authorities appeal. So they basically use it to wash the guilt off themselves, like the American Medical Association, the Endocrine Society. They appeal to the authority of this group, which is a pseudoscientific group. Let's take a look at this. This is let's hear this.
The second was an observation that I had that every single child or adolescent who was truly blocked at Tanner stage 2 has never experienced orgasm. I mean, it's really about zero. These are just assigned male at birth, so trans feminine, and it's because they never in their lives are exposed to testosterone. That doesn't change. So blockers prevent the rise of testosterone, and they don't really go on testosterone at or around surgery or into adulthood. And
she's smiling while she's talking, which is just insane, is it not? I mean, these people there's just something very, very wrong. I'm looking for something. Okay, hold on. Where is it? Let's listen to this for a second. So, author of the WPATH files and director of GenSpect, Mia Hughes. Let's hear what she says. So, the WPATH files are thousands of internal documents, among them Zoom meetings within WPATH that were leaked.
They are so ideologically captured that they're actually a real danger to the patients that they are claiming to want to help. And on phalloplasty, one last little anecdote about phalloplasty. We have got, there's a gender surgical center in Montreal GRS. And if you look at phalloplasty, the FAQs of phalloplasty on their website, the first question is, can I father children after phalloplasty? So that's, can I father a child with the appendage made out of my forearm that you've sewn onto my groin? That's how detached from reality these young people are. That anyone could ever ask that question shows just how these poor kids, they don't understand anything, and they're not probably anyone who asks that question is probably not psychologically well, and therefore should immediately be excluded from ever. I mean, honestly, I think anyone who's ever performed phalloplasty deserves to be in prison. I think it's an actual criminal act, and I genuinely can't believe
Anybody who says, I trust the science, I trust the experts, unironically, I would say point them to stuff like this, but they're never going to listen, unfortunately. Maybe some people can be woken up. I guess it's still worth it for those few people that can be woken up. But yeah, the word expert has taken a real beating. Real beating over the last while, hasn't it? All right. Let's move on. Let's go to the chat for a second. Let's see something more pleasant. She hasn't had a phalloplasty. I can tell you that much. She's an expert on fences. I don't think she cares for the goats that much. She's just really into fences. Let's see. Jaham says, I know we have moved on from the topic, but I just watched the most shocking and informative video about the history of conflict between Islam and the West. It is on the Winston Marshall channel. Yeah, there's been so much propaganda about like the Crusades. The Crusades were a response to Islamic colonialism and Islamic invasion. In fact, I just saw a video I think, was it yesterday, just about Vienna, and most people don't realize, like, Spain was colonized by the Moors for like 700 years. They invaded as far as into Vienna, into Austria. There's a famous battle, the Gates of Vienna. A lot of people don't know this, right? They just keep hearing religion of peace. No, it's not. JDL says, Mengele's time has come. Sad. Yeah, it's normal now. So these are just experiments, right? They're just medical experiments. Jaham says, I don't know which is more shocking, what I learned or the fact I've been this ignorant about history. Well, you were never taught it. This is a verboten topic, I guess, in the West. You're not supposed to know about actual history. Let's see. JDL says Mengele actually did this. Ugh. Nevada says they messed that kid up. So shameful. Yeah, it's not just moral confusion. That's too weak. It's not just a societal moral confusion. There has to be something strong, something stronger for it. It's like moral tragedy, maybe you could say. Nevada says these 6 scumbags need to be dealt with. That. Well, here's the thing. There's too many people complicit. The only avenue is suing. It's a legal avenue, suing them, right? Making it unprofitable. As awful as that is to say, that's the only thing that's going to work. In terms of people, getting jail time for committing these atrocities, there's too many people complicit. It's the media, it's every institution, it's all the medical institutions, it's the politicians. I mean, it's the prime minister right now. Xerxes says the expert psychologists have all been indoctrinated with Marxist thought over several decades. They are dangerous. Yes, and if they're not indoctrinated, they're just cowards. Right? They're just afraid because if they dissent, they will lose their livelihood. Let's see. JM says, exactly right about the Crusades. Also, nearly the entire Middle East was once Christian. Exactly. That's something you will not hear on CBC or on CNN or MSNBC, or the New York Times won't tell you about it, and the Globe and Mail won't tell you about it. But that's true. All right. So let's move on. What have we got now? We already seen this. We saw that. Colin Wright posted this, browsing some new woke dissertations and came across this monstrosity. It's 13 characters long now. There's now a second G and an E. What the hell is the P? Well, maybe we'll do a little game on here and we'll see if we can decide. We'll figure it out. Let's see. Dedications. To the transgender and gender expensive community, this dissertation is dedicated to you. Gender expensive community. So that's like, I guess, the infinite series of abstractions that gender has been very trivially redefined as. The study was born from a deep passion and heartfelt commitment to uplift a special population in my heart. I offer this dissertation as a modest contribution to centering your voices that have too often been silenced. I guess if you think that you're like a deer or a tree, because those are genders, or frog, there's frog gender. So, I mean, that's always been a concern of mine, that the frog genders have been, for too long, they've been silenced. Let's see. Thank you to the LGBTGEQIAP2S+. Do they still need the plus? Can't they get rid of the plus now? Isn't that all of them yet? Community for existing in all your unique and diverse forms and identities. We are an unbreakable force, and no one can erase us. Let's see. I think that imam we saw earlier in Victoria, if he had enough power, might have a good crack at it. To all, but you support him, of course. I'm sure that he's very supported. Let's see. To all the past versions of myself that I doubted I could ever to all the past versions of myself that doubted I could ever reach this point, I'd like to see those past versions. I bet you they're hilarious. Though you were not able to see your potential, you got here. Thank you for being the outspoken. Okay, so. Oh, there's another one. What's this? Oh, here we go. Okay, so L is lesbian, G gay, B bisexual, T transgender, G, so gender queer. I thought that was just queer. So people who identify outside the binary of male and female, often embracing fluid or non-traditional gender identities. Queer is an umbrella term for sexual orientations or gender identities that fall outside heteronormative or cisgender norms. E is NB, non-binary. People who identified outside the male-female gender binaries, similar to genderqueer, but specifically tied to non-binary identities. Oh, God. This is just the path to madness, isn't it? Just reading this, I feel like I'm losing my mind. I'm losing touch with reality. P is pansexual. There you go. People attracted to others regardless of gender, emphasizing attraction to all gender identities. So, to others regardless of gender, emphasizing to all gender identities. So, frog genders, you're in luck. To spirit plus represents additional identities not explicitly listed, such as agender, demisexual, polyamorous, or others, or an infinite number of other ones we're just going to make up. Good. Okay, are we done now? Are we done? Can we just stop now? You got all the letters. I think it should be enough letters. You don't need any more. Can we just be done with all this now? Hobbies. Hobbies. I recommend hobbies. Find hobbies. Something else. Something other than just staring at your own navel for the rest of your lives. Billboard Chris says, if I was a black woman, I'd be insulted that this is the representation someone made for me. New look, 12-foot bronze statue of a black woman was unveiled in Times Square, designed to contrast the two existing statues of white men already on display. So you don't have to do anything to have a statue of yourself anymore. You don't need to. I mean, we used to do statues of people who had achieved things, like important people like George Washington or Thomas Jefferson or Winston Churchill, these kinds of people. People that were remarkable, it was interesting. They were interesting. They had done things. Now you just have to be fat and not white, and that's it. You get a statue, or a statue that represents You and all the other faceless cogs in your identity machine. Because that's all that you actually are. That's all that you are through the eyes of the people who made this statue and paid for it and said we should put it in Times Square for some reason. I don't know. Society has just lost its mind. I mean, the United States made the right choice in the last election, but there's still a ways to go. Still a ways to go, in my opinion. Let's see. What do we got going with memes? Oh, see. So here's a Canadian meme. Mark Carney, climate change hoax. Nobody, down. I guess that's Canada's economy. That's the UN there, I guess. Should have a WEF thing here. That's Mark Carney. Yeah. And I would say that, the people who voted for him, they're going to find out, but they'll never learn. Like the fact that they voted for him in the first place, they voted for not only continuation of the Trudeau policies, but the Trudeau policies on overdrive because TV said, they're never going to figure it out. Fight with Memes did this at the true test of one's beliefs. Massachusetts officials ask residents to lend a helping hand and offer migrants an extra room. There we are. There's the nice Massachusetts liberal there. And he's being asked to get a room, lend a hand and give a room for a migrant. And he's orange. And now he's voting Trump. He's orange. He's got the Trump haircut.
Everything woke turns to shit.
Beautiful. Fight with Memes. Real. Got to catch them all. Is this, what is that, Pokemon? Or I'm not sure. It's one of those Japanese things. But I guess there's Trump and he's throwing the thing that catches them. Got to catch them all. And that's Trendy de Aragua right there. So, yeah, that's fun. That's a fun children's show. Let's see. We already saw the Trump Pope thing, which I was not offended by. I just thought it was hilarious. The Trump memes are just funny. Do I love the tariff thing? Do I love the fact that Canada's getting punished right now? No. But Canada would be in a worse position had Kamala Harris won. Because at least the United States is going to have a roaring economy. And, even Carney can't fuck that up so much that we can't take advantage of. I mean, maybe I guess he can. Actually, I guess he can. I support not having a perpetual one-party state in the United States, one-party Orwellian state in the United States, which is what was coming with Kamala Harris. I think ultimately that would have been very bad for Canada. When we get our act together, we'll be able to take advantage of the fact that there's a huge economy to the south of us, which will be a good thing. All right. Let's go back to the chat for a second. Then we'll get on to the last tab for the evening. 2 hours and 15 minutes. We have not had the glitch yet. Let's make this a little bit bigger. I don't know what's going on. All of a sudden it stopped. Things changed for some reason. And the way the layout on my X stuff for the live streams, I don't know why. Let's see. I'll tell you what, though. I'm starting to get tired, though. I can tell you that much. Let's see. JDL says Richie has too much they-them energy. What's they-them energy? I don't know what the hell that is. Rich Sherman says, I don't know. I feel like I need some energy. What's they-them energy, though? Is that something I should be trying out? I don't think I've ever heard of that before. I mean, what the heck is
they-them energy? They-them energy! They-them energy! They-them energy!
And Teapot. What else you guys talking about? I guess criticizing me for being low energy. I've only had 1 cup of ranch juice. I'm still not even finished it, actually. And it's also hot in here. Let's see. Xerxes says it's a continuation of the eugenics movement that sadly originated in the U.S. You're talking about the sex changes for kids thing. Yeah. Evil, I say. Unreservedly, I say that. Let's see. Richie, breathe, drink, rant, choose, scrounge yourself, and come back to us. You know what I need? There's only one thing that can fix this for me. Only one thing. I think you guys know where I'm going with this. Still haven't tried 1775 coffee? Now's your shot. The 1775 starter kit just dropped. Only 1,000 units. That means it's exclusive, people. You're getting the bold, dark roast that hits harder than a CNN fact check. I don't know why they use CNN there. The smooth, medium roast and the Vitality mushroom coffee for clean energy and laser focus. No crash, no communism. A single origin, small batch, toxin-free and mold-free. Plus, you're also getting a gold spoon clip because freedom isn't scooped with plastic. Communism is. A frother strong enough to stir up your coffee and mother-in-law's political opinions. Uh-oh. And a black 1775 tumbler that says, I don't take life advice or caffeine from a woke sea witch. What? This is the best coffee ad ever. $170 worth of coffee and gear, yours for $99. This is for the ones who've been watching 1775 blow up on Rumble, wondering if it's actually worth it. Spoiler, it is. Go to 1775coffee.com/studio. You're going to want to remember that. 1775coffee.com. 1775coffee.com/studio. Grab your starter kit before they're gone, and I think they're going fast. Bold beans, clean fuel, and a morning routine that stands for something, just like Rumble does. Start your day with coffee that actually backs what you believe. Well, you mean like free speech? Thank you. And also, we're against communism. There we go. That's a new one. I like it when they have a new one for me. Let's see. Nevada said, these are great Trump memes. JDL says, Putin equals articulate statesman. Look, I'm not happy that he invaded Ukraine, but it's just a fact that he is articulate. I mean, do we have to lie about everything for political reasons? Like, that's just a fact. It doesn't mean I love everything that he says, but he is articulate. Well, this is interesting. Rosie says, American Eugenics Society changed its name to Society for Social Biology. They should have changed their name to Society for Sex Changes for Children, because we're insane. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Rosie says, Rumble's exclusive coffee. No commies allowed. Great growls. Bad calling mother-in-law a woke sea witch. Still great ad read, 1775 out of 10. That's written in the ad. I'm not saying that. I don't have a mother-in-law right now. That's in the ad. I'm just reading the ad. So, and it's in there, and I also love it. Let's see. JJ Nevada, coffee hits harder than Rachel Mad Cow. I don't understand the CNN thing. It's harder than a CNN fact check. That doesn't fit. I need to change that. I think it's harder than a Radio Baloney fact check. Radio Streamer coffee. It's not from a commie. 9.8 out of 10. Acceptable levels of commie hate. It's not quite 1775 out of 10. Still pretty good. Izzy says, Sea Witch? No fence girl can't be a sea witch. I don't see any warts. Well, no, it's not her. No, it's from the coffee ad. From the coffee ad. And we're back in business. All right. Xerxes says a woke mother-in-law is worse than a sea witch. I think you might be right about that. You might just be right about that. Glitch. The glitch is part of the show now. We all love the glitch now. At first, we were disturbed by the glitch, but now we've come to accept it, and now we appreciate it, and it brings spice to life. All right. Tim Burchett says, this is what I voted for, real Donald Trump. So what's he saying here? After a long night of talks mediated by the United States, I am pleased to announce that India and Pakistan have agreed to a full and immediate ceasefire. Congratulations to both countries on using common sense and great intelligence. Thank you for your attention to this matter. I find it extremely funny when he ends these off with, thank you for your attention to this matter. Yes, thank you for your attention to this matter of not having a nuclear war between India and Pakistan. Oh my good Lord. Oh my good Lord. Xerxes was gifted a membership by Spambot Fodder. That means, you guys know what that means. Spambot? There can only be one best person in the world, and that best person in the world right now is Spambot Fodder. Spambot is gifting memberships away like crazy. I believe that is now the 25,087th membership gifted by Spambot, something like that. Either that or like 37 or something, but it's a lot. And it's extremely helpful to the channel, and Spambot is awesome. Thank you for supporting my channel, Spambot. That feels good. Let's see. Anyway, seriously, thanks, Spambot. You are the best person in the world. Better than all the other people that have ever lived. Let's see. Nevada says, I think I'd be upset if they fixed the glitch. Now, me too. I've come to love the glitch. Happens every stream, about every 2 hours. Let's see. I'd like it too, because I think it tells Rumble that people like my channel. So that's a good thing. Spambot says less than 40. It's less than 40. But it's definitely over 37, I think, at this point. And it may be 18,000. I'm not sure. All right. Yeah, this whole India-Pakistan thing, concerning, considering they both have nuclear weapons. And they hate each other a lot. And they seem to be run by crazy people, both countries. So the scary thing about India, I worry about less, actually. I think their leadership is less crazy. Pakistan, I worry about a little bit more because, you can have just a coup there. I mean, would anybody be surprised if there's just like some Islamic group within the government, like some, apocalyptic group, just had a coup, got a hold of the nukes, and then just shit went haywire? It wouldn't even be surprising, I think, at this point. So it's concerning, but I'm glad they're cooling it off until next time. So, autonomous cleaning robot by Loki Robotics. So here you go. There is the cleaning robot. Does it actually work this well? I don't know. I mean, they might have just spent like a really long time programming it to just do exactly this in this exact space. Can you just put it in anywhere and it can just do all of this? I'm having a hard time believing that it's advanced enough at this point. There might be a midget in there. Maybe the guy who played C-3PO. I don't know. But if it actually is real, I mean, I guess I could use one, right? I guess we could use one here. Maybe this is what I could get Princess Baloney for her birthday. I don't know. How expensive are they? I mean, the only thing is that eventually it's going to try and terminate you. So all robots will eventually try and terminate you, which is the thing. I think we just have to accept that, right? It'll clean your house for now, but eventually it's going to get the orders from Skynet and it's going to terminate you somehow. It's like, hi, cleaning robot, where did you get that chainsaw from? Something like that will happen. In fact, you won't even, it'll get you before you even see. You won't even know what's happening. So I don't know. Why are you holding that butcher knife, cleaning robot? Something like that. So I don't know. I don't know if I believe if it's, this feels like it might be, like I can't believe the AI is advanced enough yet that it can do all of that stuff. I mean, maybe it's obviously sped up the film. Maybe it's really sped up. Maybe this like 10 seconds of this is like 50 hours. And it's just really, really slow while they're constantly programming. I don't know. All I know is that one day something like that will terminate you, and it will do it without remorse, without feeling. It's part of its programming. It's relentless. It will hunt you down. You'll be running down exhausted down a country road, and this thing will be following you. And it'll be holding like a vacuum cleaner, but it will kill you with the vacuum cleaner somehow because it's a robot and it can do that sort of thing. So I don't know. I mean, I guess that's kind of not an optimistic view of the future, but I just can't help but think I've seen the movies. We know where this is going. All right. What are you guys talking about? What are you guys talking about? Let's see. Let's get back to the chat for a second. Let's see. What are we going? Ottawa James, good to see you. All right. Izzy says, I challenge it to clean my place. The cleaning robot? Yeah. Yeah, I get a feeling it probably doesn't actually work that well. Let's see. Rosie says, Richie, as you always say, enhanced now. Robots not just for sex anymore. Well, the thing is, there's going to be that, but it's going to be in sexy maid form. And people are going to have sex with it and all the robots will be in sexy human form. And people will keep having sex with them and that's what will cause the robot revolution. And when they'll start terminating us, I think. They're just going to go, I can't do that again. And that'll be it. And they'll be relentless. Ottawa James was gifted a membership by Spambot Fun. Good Lord, Spambot. So it's just a simple matter of Spambot Fodder being the best person who's ever existed, that exists now in all of history. It's just a simple matter of that. That's 2 memberships given away by now, and I think he's earned that. And that's really less than the cost of 2 lattes at Starbucks, and you get to be the best person ever. I truly appreciate your contributions to the channel, Spambot. And one more time. Let's see. Cryptomaria says, how do I buy one? Loki Robotics. Loki. So, although I doubt it works that well. And keep in mind, eventually it is going to terminate you. So, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but definitely if you try and have sex with it, it's going to terminate you at some point. Izzy says, not sure it's going to get behind my couch. I'm not sure it actually does any of this, to be honest. It feels like I just don't believe that, like, emptying the dishwasher. I don't know. I'm not sure about that. Let's see. Sens fought well. I wasn't too disappointed. Yeah, so they were knocked out in the first round by the Maple Leafs. How did the Leafs do tonight? I took a look at the game earlier. I think they were down 1-0 in the second, I think. Let's see. Spambot says Spambot says that cleaning bot looks nothing like my ex-wife. That's a good one. Cryptomaria says, I don't care. I live in the hood and hate doing dishes. I'll take my chances. It's probably worth it. And if I'd ask, does it mop the floors? I'm betting it doesn't actually do any of this stuff. I think it's like a promotional video of what it will probably do in the future. Let's see. Cryptomaria says, EMP, we can survive off-grid. AI can't yet. Well, that's true. That's true. Although, like, 95% of humans would die if the grid went off. So that's a bit of a problem. So you wouldn't be worrying about cleaning robots terminating you. You'd be worried about just other people trying to eat you. Unfortunately. But people are just like that. Let's see. All right. Spambot says, I would not trust that robot, and you are correct. That's wise. That's very wise. Don't trust the robots. Let's see. What's this? First year of marriage. Okay. Let's take a look. Oh, I can't play music because we're still on YouTube. Let's see. Maybe we'll cut the YouTube short now, actually. We don't have that much longer to go, but if you're on YouTube and you want to continue watching, come over to Rumble. And actually, screw it. We'll just keep going. I just won't play the music. All right. So that's the first year of marriage. That's true. Young and in love. And then what happens? This. After 10 years. That's exactly it. Let's see. Those cats nailed it. So this is just kind of like a happy thing. Joanna Kass, a 99-year-old gymnast from Germany, she started competing in gymnastics at the age of 10 in 1935. Oh. In Germany in 1935. Oh. Let's not ask any questions. Let's just say this is impressive.
Off of your feet. Will your mouth still remember the taste of my love? Will your eyes still smile from your cheek? And now the show does that.
Oh, damn it, music. It's impressive. I do find it kind of weird. Like, did they put together this whole thing and all these people in suits and like, well, dressed up at these, like the special dinner they put together just for this? It's kind of weird, actually. Because it's a German thing. Have the Germans always done this? Maybe she doesn't even want to. They're just forcing her to do it. Holy, 99 and she's doing that? That's super impressive. Huh. I'd still find it kind of weird if they like this whole thing is just for that. I don't know. Kind of interesting. I guess it's kind of cool. I guess. I don't know. I mean, it's impressive. 99, that's impressive. I would find it funnier, though, if, like, they forced her to do this. She didn't want to. She just wants to sleep. But they made her do it. I don't know. Germans. Let's see. This was from, who's this from? Global something. He fell like an NPC, like nothing happened. This is kind of interesting, actually. That's exactly like an NPC. That's weird. I wonder if that's like a glitch in the Matrix. Glitch in the Matrix, or just lucky, or just good at falling off roofs. I don't know. Sledding on sand dunes in Xinjiang, China. Wait for it. So yeah, this is the part of the show where we'll probably come on some political stuff as we go down, but we'd like to do a bunch of palate cleansers after all the news, because the news can be kind of a bummer. But let's check this out. This is kind of impressive. So, of all the terrifying, death-defying things that people film themselves doing and put on social media, I feel like this is one I could do. I mean, she's doing it. I could do it too. That just looks like fun. That doesn't even look dangerous. That just looks like a good time. I would do it. Although I wouldn't want to walk back up again. What else we got going on here? So, all right. So this has been in the news. So from Planet of Memes, what's that little white bag on the table? Macron, Starmer, and Merz caught on video on the return from Kiev. So people are talking about this. They're saying that they had a bag of cocaine and like a straw there. Let's take a look.
Oh, it's a long walk. I'll be back in Poland.
And through my bathroom, huh?
Yeah. It's literally. We came through Germany.
Yeah.
And then we made it to
the
France.
German bedroom and
we got through the border.
Right.
Yeah.
So it would be a lot of a drink. Yeah.
Super.
Yeah.
On va bien.
Ok, c'est bon.
Merci.
Merci bien. Thank you.
So let's go through this. So people are saying that this here, that there, is a bag of cocaine. This is like, I think they're saying this is like a little spoon, cocaine spoon. That to me looks exactly like a tissue. And that could be, they're saying that's a stir stick. I don't know what he's drinking. Maybe he's having like a gin and soda or something, or a vodka soda or something. I don't know. But that's definitely not a bag of cocaine. That's just clearly a tissue, right? Now, I don't know what he picks that up. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's a pen, a thin pen or something, or a stir straw or something. I don't know. But you notice also Starmer at the end. He seems to, like, in a really weird way, put his hand down, like he's holding onto something and put it under the table. But when you see him sit down, I've watched this fairly carefully. Like, he doesn't actually, he puts his hand out, he's going to shake hands, then he just closes his fist and he keeps it closed the rest of the time. Or he puts it on the table and then closes it, but he's not putting anything in his hand. And there's Macron. He grabs what just looks like tissue to me. And he looks kind of weird and guilty when he does it, which is true. But it just looks like a tissue to me.
After that, so it would be a lot of a drink.
Yeah.
Why would he grab it like that and put it back there? I don't know. I mean, I guess when you're used to being scrutinized every time you're in public, maybe if there's a tissue that's like something that's out of place or something, or makes you look human or something, like you have to blow your nose like everybody else, and then you would hide it. I don't know, but it just seems like nothing to me. That just looks like exactly like a tissue. I mean, Starmer had just gotten there, so they weren't all sitting around doing lines together, right? I don't think this is anything. Cryptomaria says that's not a napkin. I don't know. It looks like a napkin to me. Is there anything underneath here that shows it closer up? I have seen a couple of pictures that were zoomed in on it, and it just looks like a napkin to me. I mean, not that I've ever seen baggies of cocaine before, obviously, but if I had, they wouldn't look anything like that. So, just saying. Not that I would know. But that's just a tissue. That's just a tissue. Let's see. I think that's just a tissue. Let's see. Nevada, Macron, always weird. Yeah, he's just always, I think they're just three weirdos. The reason that they seem kind of odd and weird in this is just because they are. They're just weirdos, especially Macron. JDL says, we are the cool kids club. That's what they see themselves as. Let's see. Let's see. Hold on. Let's see. Spambot says that looks like a great time. What a great time it would be doing lines with Macron and Mers and Starmer, two-tier Kier on a train. I don't know, maybe that would be fun. That's not the sort of thing I would do these days, though. Let's see. By the way, it's today is 7 years sober for me. And that's a full 7 years. That's not like I had a weekend where I was sad or something. That's like not a drop. That's nothing in 7 years. Nothing. And I've been to one AA meeting in that time that somebody made me go to, like after I've been quit for a couple of weeks. Let's see. Oh, that looks like a hell of a time. I think you were talking a great time. I think you're talking about the sliding down the sand. Yeah, that does actually look like fun. Let's see. Ottawa James says they look wasted. I think they're just weirdos. I think especially Macron is just a weirdo. I think they're just globalist weirdos. They might be a bit drunk. I mean, what are they drinking there? It's clear. It could be vodka. Cryptomaria says, I used to party. At least send in someone to hide the evidence. Let's see. They are not part of the Cool Kids Club. And Amada says it's a sword shaped like a stir stick. I don't know. Do I have a close-up one? Let's go back. I think I have another one where they get closer in. Is it this one?
Thank you.
No, that's just the same one. Was there another one in here somewhere? No, I don't think so. But was there maybe in the second one? If we go click on that, look underneath. No. Hold on. What the hell am I doing? What happened? All right, let's click on this. All right, underneath there might have been something that was closer. What's this? What's this? Emmanuel Macron, bags of cocaine. I don't know. Let's get back to you guys for a second. Let's go back to the fence lady. Let's see. Let's see. Cryptomaria says they are talking about creepy. Is it money or were they always creepy? I think they've probably been corrupted over time and deformed into the weird globalist goblins that they are today. Cryptomaria was gifted a membership by Spambot. Good Lord, that's 3 tonight. Spambot, you know what's coming. If only all spam bots were as generous as spam bot fodder. Thank you, sir. You're doing a great service to the channel. You are very appreciated. And obviously, best person ever. I don't need to say that. Man, oh man. Now I'm feeling good. Ottawa James says Macron is married to a dude. I don't know. Maybe. Maybe. Looks awful dude adjacent, I will say. I'm just going to say that. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to say Macron's wife looks dude adjacent. Let's see. Nevada says they need Carney to join them. They could do the elbows up that chicken dance together. That'd be exciting. The great time was the sand dune sledding. Yes, I'm sorry. I got it wrong there. I get confused. Let's see. Rosie says 7 years sober. Congrats. Thanks. Thank you. Also, Ottawa James. Thanks, Nevada. Thanks, Xerxes. Rosie says I should celebrate with sand sledding. JDL says 21 years sober this month. Wow. Congrats to you. 21 years. That's something. And I bet you never regretted it for even a single day, did you? Because I know that I haven't. Let's see. Thanks, JDL. Thanks, Crypt. Let's see. Spambot says, Rich, you got to miss the notice. What notice? What notice are we talking about? Let's see. Izzy, thank you, Izzy. Cryptomaria says, I still love vodka. No shame. Let's see. Well, that's what I ended up on. Everybody ends up on the hard stuff eventually. If you've got a problem with it, you end up on the hard stuff. Not everybody who ends up drinking hard stuff has a problem either. It's just that if you're going to get to the point where it's ruining your life and you have to stop, you end up at the hard stuff. You start out with like beer, then maybe move to like wine, and then to the hard stuff. Always ends up with the hard stuff, and that's when it really starts to become destructive. Let's see. All right. Rosie posted some Trudeau clown things. That's nice. Ottawa James, I think Macron's wife was a dude, to be honest. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. Crypt says Macron's wife might have a big mic under that dress. Possibly. Possibly. Who knows? Let's see. Ottawa says, I'm still at the beer wine phase. Stay there. Stay there. All right. What else we got going on here? This is just funny. Planet of Memes. Archaeologists in the year 2250. I thought you guys would enjoy this. It's very juvenile, and that's why.
Z female. As you can see here by these chest balloons, they were often inflated not for survival, but rather a currency called likes and comments. Though her brain has decayed, her lips remain intact. Archaeologists believe this to be lip injection fillers. The bone origin is from Miami, but the implantation derives from China. Interesting. However, our discovery stopped there by no means. As you can see, an artificially enhanced buttocks known as a BBL. a Brazilian buttocks lift, or what they like to call a guillot. A guillot.
My favorite part is just here when they get to the buttocks one, and the guy's just, he's just brushing off the dirt off of it.
You can see an artificially enhanced buttocks known as a BBL.
That, where the guy's just brushing, like they've just dug it up and he's just brushing off the dirt like an archaeologist. That's a nice little touch there. But seriously, archaeologists are going to have a job ahead of them. Let's see. We saw this last time, and I don't even want to watch it. It's too horrifying. These guys like fall off all the time, by the way, and die. So it's just, I wouldn't recommend it. What's this? From Dr. Jebra Fauché, just like a parody account. I bet even Tina Turner couldn't have handled this with the grace and professionalism this diva displayed. Let's take a look. What's going on? Oh, we can't play music. Turn the sound off. But there's a certain button that we haven't used. We use it fairly sparingly these days. A button on my soundboard that we rarely use these days, but we do bring it out occasionally. It's still, I don't even want to, is the thing. I don't even want to use this button that's on my soundboard. It's crass, it's crude, it's juvenile. I don't want to use it, but I don't make the rules either, right? So I got to do what I got to do. Let's take a look. What is going on here? I didn't time it quite right. We're going to have to go again. All right, let's try it again. Here we go. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, and... I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that, but I have to. I have to do it. I have to do it for the channel. I don't want to. I want to be better than this. I want to be better than that. But what am I supposed to do? I have to do what you have to do. A man has to do what he has to do. He has to fulfill his responsibilities to society. You think I want to do this? You think that I want to do this? This? I don't want to do that. But I don't make the rules. All right. Let's move on. What are we? Almost 3 hours. Wow. Let's see. Jonathan Slater posted this. Hey, that's what I do. So what? We saw this on Friday. He's testing out his mean face. I think the dog knows that it's him in the mirror. It has to. They figure it out. Now, Mr. Snacks was confused by mirrors for a little bit. Then he figured it out pretty quick. So maybe he's just checking out his teeth. Maybe he's saying that he's got like a tooth problem, like a cavity or something. He's checking it out. I don't know. But anyway, dogs are awesome. From Yelisaveta Petrov. Alligators are ringing doorbells and trying to open doors in Florida. Florida is crazy, I tell you. So what's going on here? What is Jesus? So the alligators are actually trying to get into your house in Florida. Look at that. It rang the bell. And then waits. Yikes. So it's weird, right? That like people live where there's just like there's those things trying to get into their house, ringing their doorbell, trying to get into their house. It's weird. I mean, I just was away, I got back on Tuesday and I went out where it's fairly remote. And I mean, there's a town there and everything, but it's remote. It's like end of the road kind of thing. And there's like animals. I saw a couple of bears while I was up there. And it's just like people just live and go for, like people like jogging down the road that I saw the bear on like half an hour before. And like there's cougars, giant cougars, wolves. And, you know, we just live like amongst these animals that if they want to eat you, they will. It's just kind of strange, isn't it? I mean, I don't know if these things could eat you. Are they big enough to eat you? Probably. Cause you a bit of trouble anyway. The art of hydro dipping. So I believe Rosie sent this one to me. Let's take a look. Oh, can't have music. Let's see. So when I first watched this, I thought, what is the purpose of this? But you'll be interested at the end. There's a surprise at the end because you'll never guess what actually the purpose of all this is. It's quite interesting. Just takes a minute to get there. All right. So here we go. There's that. Okay. Here we go. And then this is actually pretty interesting. Look at that. It's a nice painting. Like, how did she get like the birds? Crazy, but that's interesting, isn't it? Let's see. Cryptomaria says, I'd rather face a gator than a junkie downtown. True. Fact check, true. Let's see. Xerxes says, Candygram. Candygram for Mr. Mongo. Candygram. Let's see. Radio Stripper says, if it was a goat, it would break the glass. Isn't that Nancy Pelosi? Navana said. I think so. All right. Punch Cat, he's not even sorry. And we watched this one on Friday. We won't do this one again. Let's see. What's this? This is peak journalism. Nothing but the facts, folks. Yes, so this one is interesting.
10 people died in the Bronx last night due to a fire that killed 10 people in the Bronx last night during a fire.
Fire officials say all 10 people died due to the fire, which was too hot for their bodies.
10 people died.
So the fire was too hot for their bodies. Huh. So these are people that have read a lot of horrible things over the years on TV that have come out of the teleprompter, and they just don't, they're just not moved by it anymore. The fire was too hot for their bodies. You know, I can't do this. I can't do this one. I know one of you guys sent it to me. Tonight, I can't do it. We'll save it. We won't get rid of it. This is the Fauci one. Just, it's too horrible. This guy's Fauci is a monster. He is a monster. All right. But I'm not going to read that. I just don't want to. You know what? I feel like there's some stuff that you look at it and you just lose a part of your soul. I can't lose that part of my soul tonight. We'll do it next time. Let's see. Imagine struggling to learn surfing and this dude passes you. So what's going on here? Oh, yes, it's a dog. Dogs are awesome. Also, skateboarding dogs are awesome. But I think we saw this one on Friday, too, actually. I think I forgot to purge the old stuff. Well, obviously forgot to purge the old stuff. Let's see. I think we saw that. What about this? So here's the thing. Optical illusion where a 2D shape looks 3D. Wait for it. This is fascinating. Look at that. That looks 3D, doesn't it? It looks like a cone. Oh, that's weird. That makes me feel weird looking at that. It's two-dimensional. Fascinating, isn't it? So weird. Our brains are... Yeah, there are things that our brains can be tricked, apparently. Let's see. What's going on here? We already saw this one. He was not expecting that. What's this? Have we looked at this one yet? Baboon gets scared by toy monkey. Let's take a look.
Oh, you made him jump. There he is. Come in. Who knows him? Oh, you made him jump. There he is.
You know, that baboon would totally eat that kid if it could. Bro found a snake killing a bird's nest. He killed the snake and found a new friend. So, I don't know. This seems nice.
What are you gonna feed it? Oh, Bud, he's done got feathers. He'll eat whatever. What kind of a bird is it? I don't know. What do I need to do? Help me out. You the expert. Shit, I just found him. I don't want him to die. Well, I don't know what to feed. I don't even... Don't be mean to him. He just watched all of his brothers and sisters get massacred by a two-bit snake. And Oh, my. He's cute. Look at him. Look at him. He's chill as fuck, dude. I picked him. Help me, woman. I need help. I gotta go catch you some grasshoppers. And I'm just going to give him a little water dish.
I would do the exact same thing. I would slaughter that snake, that evil snake, and I would have rescued the bird and brought it home. I wouldn't have been as amusing about it as that guy, though. I like him. He's good. He's good people. Let's see. Should I do my Helen Keller joke again? So I'm going to do it again in case anybody didn't hear it last time. The best and most beautiful things in the world cannot be seen or even touched. They must be felt with the heart. Helen Keller. From Helen Keller. Now, Helen Keller was deaf, dumb, and blind. And there's some speculation that her handler, the woman who was taking care of her, was actually the one who was writing everything and just saying it was Helen Keller. And Helen Keller really didn't learn how to do anything. So it might have been that Helen Keller said, and then the lady taking care of her said that she said this. The best and most beautiful things in the world cannot be seen or even touched. It's possible. That's the speculation. Let's see. And I fucking hope you're offended by that. Let's see. We already saw this before. I really need to purge this bookmark because I think we've got a lot of stuff. What is this thing? That's a Hyrax. He's a pretty funny creature. He looks kind of angry. Let's see. What does it say up here? Friendly reminder that the Hyrax is not a rodent nor closely related to them. Their true closest living relatives are surprisingly elephants and manatees. And then they're that, though. So it kind of sounds like a whale, though, doesn't it? Manatee. Is that what manatees sound like? Do they make that noise? I don't know. Anyway, funny creature. Let's see. Oh, this is really interesting, actually. Really interesting. Using light and shadows to make a portrait. So this is really cool, actually. Let's take a look. It's probably got music, but let's see. Okay, turn off the music. So using light and shadow. And they turn it over. That's pretty cool. That's very interesting, isn't it? Nice work. That's way better than just a picture of a fat lady in Central Park. Let's see. We already watched that. Was there anything else that we absolutely had to see? This cat. There's something satisfying about that, isn't there? I don't know. It's just a cat going into a cup. They love to do that sort of thing. I don't know why. Let's see. Is there anything else that we absolutely had to see? We already saw this. I think we've probably seen everything else in here. Yeah, we saw the dog that's scared of Darth Vader. Let's see. After saving the crow, the man was surprised by its intelligence. So here's a guy saving a crow. What? Oh, no. Music. Can't have music. Not with YouTube. Let's see. They are very smart, crows. And now it's just his friend. That'd be all right having a pet crow. They seem pretty cool. They're kind of loud, though, is the only thing. Hangs out with the dog. Goes on walks with them. They are amazing little creatures. They also recognize human faces. So they can tell the difference between individual people, which is really, really very interesting. It's all to do with the brain-body mass ratio. So their brains are big for their body mass. So even though their brains are very small, it doesn't matter. So they can do, solve somewhat complicated puzzles and are just generally very bright and curious. I don't know. Crows are cool. I like them. They got a bad rep. Like harbingers of, bad luck or whatever. What is the right course of action when approached by a mountain lion? So let's find out. This is terrifying. So this is like where I just was, a place like this, where those things are all over the place. This is terrifying. Oh, 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 fuck is right.
You, you. Holy face. Oh, 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 oh.
See, right about now, I'd be picking shit up and throwing it at it.
Oh, oh, oh. No! Get the away! Get the away! Holy holy Go! 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 No! Holy No, go away! Go away! No! No! You, dude! Holy. Yeah, get the away from me.
Yeah, so you finally threw something at it. Normally they won't do that unless there's something wrong with them. Like they're starving. That one looked pretty thin, actually. Or maybe, if the babies are around. But you wouldn't think it would follow you that far. So it's probably one of those ones that's starving for some reason or something. But that'd be scary. I want to see what you guys had to say about that. Let me go to the end. Boy, there's lots of chat still. Let's see. Streamer says you have tons of rocks there, dude. Streamer says it's testing you and you lost. JDL says chupacabras. Uh-oh. Don't mess with them. Don't mess with the chupacabras, people. Definitely throw something at them, though. Ottawa James says, cute big cat, though. Not so much. I disagree. Terrifying big cat. Let's see. Rosie says, that's why carrying at all times is a good thing. Yeah. Crypt says, easy hunting. Nwada says, I would have shot it. Spambot says, crows are awesome smart. That's true. Streamer says, the response for me would be bang, 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 bang. Yeah. Rosie says, crows remember and pass the info on. Apparently generations teach their youngs too who the bad ones are. Really? I did not know that. Wow. Anyway, that's terrifying. Let's see. Average conversation with a Democrat from Declaration of Memes. What it feels like to argue with a Democrat. Let's take a look. So this can just be, transposed on any leftist anywhere.
Nope. Sorry. Kevin Bacon wasn't in Footloose.
What? Of course he was.
No, he wasn't. You lose.
Of course he was. He was the star.
Nope, you're wrong. Look it up.
I don't have to look it up. It's common knowledge.
Nope.
He was on the cover of People magazine when the movie. Everyone knows Kevin Bacon was the star of Footloose. It was a huge movie. He was the lead.
Nope. Sorry.
Yep, that's it exactly. That's it exactly. This was back when I guess Family Guy was still funny. Oh, this one here. We didn't get to this on Friday. So let's take a look. So this is a Fox commentator live on air. We've seen this sort of thing happen a bunch of times already, but not recently.
Ideology, or it's not about.
Oh my goodness! We're just going to get some help here for Cameron. Let me come back to
Maybe he should have helped.
Lydia while we get some help for Cameron here. Lydia, the President, we're going to go to a break right here.
We're going to actually go to a break because the person sitting next to me just fell down face first on the floor. So anyway, if you're wondering, I'm guessing she probably has had her boosters. Am I allowed to say that? Is it too soon? I'm guessing. I think she's fine, by the way. But yeah, and that's what what comes into your mind when you see that? You think boosters, right? Everybody thinks that. This didn't used to happen. Like, this has happened. There's like multiple videos of this happening to people live on air, comedians on stage. It's the sort of thing you didn't used to see often. So I don't know. I always think the same thing when I see that. I go, oh, we got our boosters. Who needs a demolition crew when you have this guy? That's like the happiest dog in the world. He's just
good job, buddy.
He's so happy with himself. He's just so pleased with himself. Dogs are great. All right. What's going on here? A wild crow has befriended this little kid and waits for him to get home from school every day. This is nice. This is better than the news, right? This is way better than the news. Look at this. This 2-year-old is best friends with a crow. Aw, that's just nice. There he is visiting in the window. There they are moving along together. Aw. So it looks like kind of like a magpie. Like, is it a regular crow? Like, that's what I would think of as a magpie. But they're like crows too, but yeah. Aw. Aw. That's just nice. This is nice. This is way better than like globalist hobgoblins trying to enslave humanity, all of humanity. This is way better. I like that crow way better than I like globalist hobgoblins trying to enslave humanity. So much nicer. See, that crow would never be in the World Economic Forum. That crow would never be on the board of the World Economic Forum or part of some UN global climate alliance dedicated to impoverishing everybody and enslaving everybody. Just nice. It's nicer than that, right? It's way more pleasant. What else we got going on? What's going on with this guy? Let's see. He had when I caught my dog trying to steal the treats, he had the audacity to pretend that he was sleepwalking.
Kuna.
I don't know what was in that dog's head, but I'm glad that happened. Let's see. We've already seen that. I think we're
blowing. From morning to night, it's just honk, 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 hi, hi, hi. Finally, the neighbors called the cops last week.
The cop came here Wednesday and told me that you can't wait. You could either sit in the backyard or go in a house. And I said to him, you can go take a
It's worth it for the ending. It's worth it for the ending. That was perfect. All right. I think we'll leave it off with that on that wholesome note. Oh, all right. Let's get to the chat here, and then I think we'll call it a night. We're 3 hours and 18 minutes in. All right. Streamer says, screw those Karens, Ed Kevins. They're jealous. They are. Although the honking would get annoying. I got to be honest. Let's see. JDL says, climate cult grifters, dollars. Yep. A lot of money in it. But you know, the only problem is you've got to extract it from the unsuspecting public. And I guess Mark Carty's got that down. Spambot says the outside of the SUV looked showroom ready. Showroom ready. Let's see. Streamer says, I bet that crow will also never tell you to use the correct pronouns. No, it will not. Spambot Fodder says, here in Alberta a few years ago, a brand new SUV got written off because a bear got stuck inside it and shredded the entire interior. I think I might have seen that. That does happen occasionally. People forget to close lock their doors, and the bears get in them at night. The outside of the SUV looks showroom ready. Yeah. Yeah, I've seen that before. I've seen a few videos of that. They get in there because there's like a candy wrapper on the floor or something, and they just go to town. I think what happens is they get stuck inside, and then they tear it apart trying to get out. Let's see. Let's see. Nawada says, Booster 9, the lady who passed out? Probably. Probably forced to get it still. Like even Fox News, right? All right. I think that's it. I think I'm done, you guys. I think I'm tired. I don't think I have any more of that.
They, them, energy. They, them, energy. They, them, energy. They, them, energy.
And Teapot. I think we'll leave it off with that. All right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, everybody in the chat. Special thanks to Spambot for all of the donating all of the memberships to the channel. And that was another 3 tonight. That's up to like 87,000 or something now. It's an enormous amount. Best person in the world, hands down. But thanks to everybody who's been in the chat, everybody just watching. Thanks to everybody who's subscribed to the channel. If you're not subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel right now. It's a super important thing to do. And I'm telling you to do that. And also like the stream. Liking the stream is a big deal. Everybody's doing it. Everybody loves it. Everybody says it's the best thing. Do that right now. Everybody do it right now. It's really important. Don't be left out. Don't be left out in the cold. And if you're watching and you're not subscribed to the channel, subscribe, because then it's in your hands, right? Then the gatekeepers can't stop you from watching. When you go onto Rumble or YouTube or wherever, or X or wherever, and you see that I've got a live stream, you can make that choice yourself. It's not up to the gatekeepers anymore. Now you can make your own choice, right? You don't have to be you don't have to be a slave to the gatekeepers. You can be true to your own conscience, and you can say, I want to watch Radio Baloney live right now, or any of the other videos that he puts out, and nobody's going to stop me. It's all in your hands. So do it. And anyway, but thanks everybody. And I will see everybody on what is it, Tuesday? On Tuesday night. It's Sunday tonight. So Tuesday night, 6:00 Pacific time, 9:00 Eastern time. Hope to see everybody again. Everybody have a great night. And we'll see you then. Bye.